Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. So now I just have to check and make sure that the sound is there. La da dee da. Yeah, that's it. The sound is there. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wonderful. So now I can just move this right here and wait for my followers to come in. Also making sure, yes, the chat is open this time. Good. Okay. Lovely. We are all good to go. Hey Megan, how's it going? Also, right, I was supposed to take these off. Hi Cookielicious! So good to see you. Oh my gosh. What is this? Oh, it's letting me know that I'm live like I don't know. Hi Suki! How's it going? How are y'all doing today? Also, let me move this over here. This will make my life easier when trying to read comments instead of extending my neck to go to the other screen. Hi Sigrid, how are you? Story Jumper arrived. Hey! It's so good to see you guys. How am I doing? Well, as of about like 10 minutes ago, I was so stressed out that I really just wanted to quit my job. Does that express how I'm doing? Thank you so much for the compliment, though. You said you're so excited. Love the blue dress. Thank you. I have one in white as well. Was this TikTok? This was TikTok. Yeah. So yes. Right now, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm still coming down from the work that I was doing because it was like things were okay. But then you said you're at work, but you'll still be listening. We'll be leaving soon. Hey, yay to leaving work. Yes, but the things were going, okay at work, smooth, fine. And then suddenly I realized something and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something that needs to be solved before I end my shift, which required me to work 15 minutes or so over my shift, which I wasn't happy about because then in 15 more minutes or so, I had to come back onto my shift to get a moderation and art class started. And then that wasn't working. It wasn't letting me in. So then there was this a whole bunch of confusion between me and the other two moderators that were doing all of their stuff. And it was just so annoying. I was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And it's even more frustrating because this was technically something that I said something about months ago because we have two moderators and then I moderate when it's necessary. And I noticed that we had three moderations that would be overlapping and I said something about it and it was like, "Oh no, don't worry, that's not going to be a problem. I know that already." Okay. Well, then boom, here we go. And we have this problem. And I was like, "Didn't I seem to recall saying something about this?" Okay, we'll leave it alone. Let's just try to get this problem solved. Then we get into the live session, and the main moderator gives an introduction, and then I speak a little bit because there were some instructions that weren't followed. Mind you, all of this happened. I just got off the live session at like 3:20. It's 3:34, y'all, which means where did I have room for anything? I had 8 minutes to like wolf down some food because I hadn't eaten all day. I'm just like, so I'm a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs right now mentally and trying to bring myself back. Oh my gosh, I won't tell your boss, okay? I won't tell your boss that you're listening at work. Thank you so much. And hi, and it's so good to see you. Ann Rance is in the room. And hi, WNML20. Lovely to see y'all. I have my tea here with my lovely book, and my tea is a bag of full ingredients or chopped ingredients, not the little dust sprinkled with pesticides. I've got some frozen grapes. For anyone who was here yesterday, I said make sure you prepare your frozen grapes. I wanted to show you all my grape and lemon mix, but I didn't have time to do that. So maybe next week y'all can see my little treat. I've also got my good fucking balls again, but it's really just gluten-free, brothers. And I have my chickpea white cheddar stuff. So as you can see, I've got myself prepared because I didn't have room for any of this stuff anywhere else. So you said I can eat now. Thank you. That's so kind. I'm not gonna eat now. I'm just gonna kind of eat in between while we discuss the last 10 chapters of QJJ Volume 2. You said your name is Stephanie. That is so much easier than your handle. Although I think I got it pretty well. It's like WNML20. Hey, I did it. Anyway, that is where I am. So, hi. This is Mari Chan, and welcome to my channel. I don't even have a clear introduction for live sessions. Maybe I should create one. I'm not sure. So, anyway, for this live session, yes, we are here to cover the last 10 chapters, like I said, of QJJ Volume 2. I've been dying on the inside. Why have I been dying on the inside? Because I have gone this entire week without reading QJJ, because we're having the opening chapters being read on Sunday together. And I was just thinking all week, why did I do this to myself? Why did I read the rest of what I was supposed to read by the 31st of January? Now I'm sitting here, can't read volume 3, and I'm upset. And part of me was like, maybe I should just reschedule the live session for tomorrow. But this has already been set. For those who had their expectations on this date, I don't want to change it. And so here we are. So I realize I have my aligners in. How am I going to eat my frozen grapes if I don't take them out? So just 1 second. Oops. How do I do that? I don't know. Okay. I didn't want y'all to see all of that. So, who finished QJJ today, and who finished, yesterday when the video came out? You said, poor girl. Am I spazzing just a little bit? Maybe. Is everything okay? Maybe. Not sure. And let's make sure we're on. So chapter 65 is entitled Pox. You said volume 3, scrubs, hands together. This is going to be good. Yes, I've been dying to read it, and I'm just like, fuck, why did I do this? Why did I do this? So let's dig into this, shall we? We're just going to get right in. And I don't think we'll have any pauses or breaks because we got a lot to review. I'm going to try not to ramble on forever. Normally, I take 15 to 20 minutes to just converse with you all and give people time to come here. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. I think we just need to get started. So you finished when the video came out. Of course you did. I know you've been binging these chapters. You've been binging them. You finished them earlier today. Hey. You said when you take notes, you really take notes. Y'all don't even want to see, hold on. Oopsie. Let me just show y'all my book. Okay. So here's the outside of QJJ. All those notes. But if we just really quickly, how can I do this? Try to flip through it for you. Things be inside the chapters as well as the recap at the end, especially for the second to last chapter. I have 2 pages worth, and then the last chapter, don't get me started. Oh my gosh. Look at this page. I have a sticky note underneath the sticky note underneath the sticky note. Gotta take thorough notes, right? And then even at the end of the chapter, because if we don't take thorough notes, how can we have these live sessions? How can I recap things with y'all if I don't take thorough notes? So maybe I take too thorough of notes. I don't know. Maybe I could dial it back a little bit. But according to comments that people have left, my recap sessions and my notes afterward have been very helpful. So I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah. Anyway, let us go ahead. Where's that note? Right. Okay. Crap, I missed something. You said you haven't reached 65 yet? Cookielicious. Yeah. Leave. Leave. Oh my gosh. Your other friend got back with you? I probably haven't seen it in Discord because I've been too hectically working. We can talk about it in a minute. We're gonna get there because I was gonna mention it from the Discord. He said it's a well-loved book, super duper efficient, Mari. My rants are nothing compared to that. Okay, fair point. Fair point. Yes, we love you, Cookie. I can't wait to see you in the recap when you leave any comments. If you leave any comments, don't feel obligated to do so. I don't think I need to say this about these chapters because we're about to cover them. But of course, we are covering the last 11 chapters of QJJ Volume 2. What does that mean? We don't want any spoilers about anything going on in Volume 3 and forward. So no spoilers. If you have read ahead and you know something that we don't know, don't share it. Or I will delete your comment and kick you out of the live. Actually, I don't even know if I can do that. Yeah, so we're just gonna leave it at that. Hi, Ruby, so nice to see you. You're getting Nanchan next week. Ooh, curious as to what it's like. Hopefully I'll enjoy it as much as QJJ. I really want to read Nanchan. I'm gonna do it at some point. Schedule's just too busy right now. So, all right, now that Cookielicious is gone in 3, 2, 1, we are gonna start the recap. So chapter 65. And do I want to there we go. So actually, hold on. Let me just look at what happened on the last couple of pages of 64. So, of course, chapter 64 ended with a concoction needing to be made for, the pox, right? And Ding Tao was sent by Xiao Chuye to go get Lanzhou. He was like, tell him to get out of the Temple of Guilt right now because these pox are contagious. So then when we get to chapter 65, it's still raining. It's important for us to know in each of these chapters that it's raining. So vital, which obviously, yes, it is. So rain drummed against the ground, throwing up muddy splashes. Anyway, this pox is specifically called the Dan Chung pox, and it comes from Dan Chung. I don't think we need to point it out on the map. That's not necessary, but it's contagious. And this is something that could get all over the city if it is not quickly contained, okay? So this is what we're trying to do, not cause a crazy epidemic. So Shen Zichuan, we actually get to him and he can't leave. As much as our beloved Su'an wants him to, he can't leave because the Han Chung of the embroidered uniform guards, he can't be trusted to solve this issue, right? So Shen Zichuan has to stay. And we get also that this is a chance for Shen Zichuan to get a promotion. This is what Qi Huilian and Ji Gang are talking about because they're in the Temple of Guild and Ji Gang is like, okay, let's get him out of here. I don't want my son catching the pox. And Qi Huilian is like, no, he's put in so much work. He's going to get a promotion. He's like, what are you talking about? Who cares about a promotion? That's my son, is pretty much the moment that he's having. And he's trying to go get him. And so after hold on, let me just make sure. I'm going to put this up here in front of my face. So yeah, it's clear he cares more about his health than Qi Huilian. Qi Huilian, which he's already made clear before, sometimes you got to put your life in risk. and put yourself in danger to accomplish your goals. So that is what it is. So then we have Shen Zhichuan, who is feeling more ill than he was before, which is really, really sad face. He tells a low official, um, you said fair maiden is stuck and his sweetheart gentleman is going to lose his mind with worry. You know what? I'm glad you commented because you left a comment on one of my videos and I was like, screenshot. I took a screenshot on my laptop of your comment because when we get there, I am going to say your comment. It was perfect. So let me just put it here really quickly so I don't forget about it. Thank you. I appreciate you talking again. Okay. So, you said weather and disease are real enemies, just like in real history. Yes, and that's what I love about this series. It's so realistic. So you can even put yourself in it. Not that you would want to put yourself in this current moment, but you can like really get into it because it's something that you can for sure imagine, all of that stuff, minus maybe the politics. So, he has this low official named Cui Shan from the Ministry of Revenue to make sure that every single little detail about distribution and everything else that needs to be reported is recorded in extreme detail. And he says nothing is too small. Okay? If you took a single grain of rice and distributed it, put that in the records. Okay, so he was like, we can't wait for palace orders on things. So this is also the reason why it's very important because they're not getting direct orders and following what the palace says. They're taking things into their own hands to solve this epidemic because, of course, the emperors. So that is what it is. So Shen Zhichuan at first thinks that he doesn't have the pox because the symptoms and the way that they occurred are different. And so he's like, oh, I don't have it. Probably don't got it. And then he gets to work, And it could be said, I think it was Good Ting Ting that said this is good that it's in the reverse order because we need to find someone to blame for the emperor getting the pox, right? And who else to blame than someone like Shen Zhichuan? If he were the one to give the emperor the pox, then he could be the one they place all the blame on, who could suffer whatever kind of consequences there would be. He could be the scapegoat, which would be no freaking fun at all. So anyway, then if that happened, his position, well, he would just be knocked to the bottom again. And it would be like 99% impossible for him to ever rise again. And he's worked so hard to get to where he is. And he's still struggling to keep his reputation and to build upon it, despite him having Shun Wei on his shoulders, So not to forget, he was already sick before this broke out, which helped maneuver it without anyone noticing. Yeah. He was already sick. And I think it's also important for us to go ahead and just note that Shen Zhichuan has been sick for a while, okay? He's not been doing well, at least since the Temple of Guilt, okay? I won't say anything before that, but just based on how the story happened in Volume 1 and the treatment, the conditions that he was under, he was already sick and it was snowing and all of that stuff. And then he got kicked in the chest by our, at the time, ignorant Xiao Zi'an, right? And that made his sickness worse. And it's been something that he has not necessarily been able to let go of. I think that's important for us to remember as we go on. So anyway, then we have just reminding us that he doesn't like the cold and the snow and all of that stuff and the rain, since I just mentioned it, because it reminds him of the Chashire sinkhole. So he's got some PTSD going on right there. It reminds him of his imprisonment and, people just trampling upon him, which is really, really sucky for him to have to deal with that in this current issue and not really have a moment of reprieve. That might not be the right word. A moment of relief. A moment to like step back from everything. He has to keep working in his trauma and in his sickness, And so eventually we get Xiao Chiye, who comes back to check on him. since Ding Tao was not able to get to him, right? And he starts a little fire for Shen Zitran while he is sleeping, and he eventually gets him to get in the bed because Shen Zitran just kind of like right where he was because he felt like he couldn't even lift his body. So he gets him into the bed and then he holds him while he sleeps. Oh, such a caring man. I love it so much. And then eventually Xiao Chuye also falls asleep as well, and he wakes up to Shen Zitran burning up. Okay, so he calls for the imperial physician, and we learn that he, yes, indeed, did get a cold first, but he also has the pox. So then, what does Xiao Chuye do? Say he has what? You want to say that again, doc? And the doc is like, oh, he's just overstressed. He just fell ill today. Like now, when all of this stuff happened, he wasn't sick before this at all, you know? Xiao Zi'an is looking out for him because he already knows the kind of predicament that this could put Shan Zitran in. So we are thankful for him. And that is pretty much all of that chapter. Very easy to understand. So great. Grateful. You said he'd also been taking medicine to hide his strength. That as well. He's been taking medicine to hide his strength, and then he's been so freaking busy that he hasn't even been able to nourish himself properly to build his body to the strength that he could actually be at. So, because even after he stopped taking the medicine at one point, yes, Xiao Zi'an was like, you don't seem like you're getting any bigger. If anything, you seem a little bit thinner. What's going on? So it's just, he has a weak constitution. Even though we know he can fight, I think it's important for us to know that he has a weak constitution. And it's akin to, Thousand Autumns. Shen Xiao could fight, but what was going on in the story? Weak constitution. So let's keep going. You said that was a smart move, honestly. Very smart. So then we get to chapter 66 called that was a bad time to chew a grape. Rain ceased. I think I showed my excitement about this. I was like, oh, the rain has stopped now. So let me get my notes. All right. So we open up with the Empress Dowager arranging for Hailiang Yi and the other officials to rest in the Grand Secretariat's compound. And no one is allowed to come in or out of the palace. And why have we done this? For containment, obviously. Then I say on page 293, the eunuchs and the maids confined. Oh, yes. The eunuchs and the maids specifically are confined to the inner chambers to treat the emperor, and then the outer chamber for their breaks. And they meticulously clean themselves, but they are not allowed to exit that area either because we have to contain this disease, you know? Then we have Muzhu, who decides that she is going to stay by the emperor's side 100% of the time. And I think I said in the recording, don't think this means I trust you, because I still don't trust this heifer. I don't. And so she's staying beside him the entire time, tasting all of his food before he eats it. And I do want to show you all who don't have the book the lovely picture that is provided for us. So here you go. Doesn't he look so sick? Poor Jian Hong. Okay, that's as close as I can get. Anyway, his eyes, Muru. I'm eyeing her so hard. Y'all have no idea how hard I'm eyeing this lady. I'm eyeing her not on the same level as a certain character from Yubu, but I'm eyeing her. So, let's see. So then we have it where all healthy disaster relief victims are relocated somewhere else, and they are required to take medicine because we don't want them intermingling with people in the Temple of Guild. So it's like, if you're not sick, then like leave now, because the well. Yes. So if you're not sick, hurry up and leave so that we're not getting people infected. And the embroidered uniform guard is helping disperse these meds. So then we get to the point where it says Han Chung actually removed the 8 great battalions so that they could just patrol the great empire, right? Which left the imperial army to take care of all the ditches. And why did he do this? Because he's an uppity rich guy who doesn't want to get their hands down and dirty. You know? So the Imperial Guard is left, I mean, yeah, the Imperial Army is left to it. The issue also is that some of the Imperial Army is actually trapped outside of the city because no one can leave right now. But fortunately, they have some people there from the Ministry of Works to help them handle the situation with all of these ditches and getting them unclogged and everything. And so we have Xiao Chuye who's busy with these ditches by day and caring for Shen Zichuan by night because Shen Zichuan is sick. Sick. Okay. And he shows so much attention. Like, I just love it so much. And then we get it in this moment where even Shen Zichuan can feel in his spirit that he is being taken care of so well by this man. And I'm referring to page 297, where it's saying, that Xiao Chuye was mumbling to him in hushed tones. And it said, wrapped in these soft sounds, Shen Zichuan drifted off. He lay immersed in the agony of his illness, wallowing in torment. But from the bitter depth of his misery, he tasted sweetness. Oh my gosh. Xiao Chuye was like the blazing sun, like the wind over the grasslands, which again is wonderful imagery considering how he feels about the rain and all of that. Like the rain has stopped, but the ground is still wet, you know? So just relating Xiao Chuye to the sun is so meaningful in showing just how much Shen Zichuan doesn't even realize he's sunk in with this guy. Sorry, I hit my mic. He doesn't realize. You said the emperor needs a break. He really does. And then you said the 8 great battalions are made up of mostly nobles, right? I believe so, but let me check really quickly. Embroidered uniform guard. Yep, the led by a member of the 8 great clans. 8 great clans battalions are one of the 2 major military powers in Chudu, tasked with patrolling and defending Chudu against external sources, responsible for defending Chudu, the capital city at the heart of the drill. The 8 great battalions hold the emperor's life in their hands. Okay, so it doesn't say, but I believe that is the case, that yes, they are filled with a bunch of nobles. um, but actually, no, no, no. No, I think that might have been the Imperial Army. Let me check really quickly. Keep a dumping ground for sounds from old military households. Okay, no, no, no. No, we're good. We're good. You're right. Let's see. Free and wild. He has no clue how down bad. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't even know. The fact that you are relating him to the exact opposite of your trauma, to the things that terrify you and you absolutely hate, and he's the opposite of that. Sweetie. Sweetie. so I just love that so much. Unconsciously fell into that trap called love, lust in his case. Yeah. And so, it's just saying like they blurred and morphed into an indescribable sight, a vision he could be hard pressed to recount in detail. Every old Lanzhou was laced with an affection as deep as the sea. The arms in which he cradled him were dependable beyond compare. And this is what was Shen Zichuan's thought, that Xiao Chuye is dependable beyond compare. Okay. And so even on the next page it says, now made helpless by illness, he had grown muddle-headed enough to rely on him. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about this because I did see one leave a comment. Shoot, I don't remember if it was on here or in Discord or Patreon, but someone asked, like, how did their relationship just shift so suddenly in these chapters, or in one of the chapters, I believe. And I have to say that I think this moment is important to point out because I think they felt like it just kind of suddenly happened and they didn't get more of a transition. But I would say that this is the transitional moment. Shen Zichuan being very, very sick and unable to take care of himself at all, having no choice but to rely on Xiao Zhiye. And in his muddle-headedness, if you will, because he says muddle-headedness, he began to see Xiao Zhiye in a new light. And when you are sick, I mean, there's only so much you can do. So yeah, the person who's taking care of you, you're definitely going to start seeing them different. So I would say that those inner thoughts and emotions that he was already having, they came to surface while he was sick, and then those things were maintained once we get in the later chapters and he's no longer sick. So I hope that clears that up for you. At least that's my personal opinion. There wasn't necessarily like a moment that happened after he was well and it was like, oh, suddenly they're so close to each other. I think it was when he was sick and just had those realizations and kept those realizations with him. Um, let's see, where am I? Okay, yeah, so over the days, people are dying. Yay. That's always fun. And then we have Qiao Tianya, who wants to keep an eye on Xiao Zhiye because now it's not just sickness, which, yes, it was sickness, but now people are dying. Okay, this is like COVID. Okay, people were sick. It's like, oh, this is really sucky. These symptoms are pretty bad. Oh, no, people are dying now, which, I mean, it is what it is. People also died from the flu, and so many over history, we have so many sicknesses that people have died from. These sicknesses, they just come around again and again, and we call it something else and cause public unrest and everything, which they were trying to prevent here, causing public unrest and all of the craziness. So then, Xiao Tianya is like, keep an eye on him because if he falls ill, we don't have any more medicine. He's going to just fall ill and he better pray to the gods that he lives basically. And so then we also at some point have him going to actually talk to Xiao Zhiye about something that he found weird about the pox. He wanted to talk to Shen Zichuan, but Shen Zichuan is out of it, right? So he can't. And we have it. This is where we learn more that, again, the pox originated in Dancheng, traced back to a burial mound where there were just lots of dead bodies. And it's very easy, to discern that there was probably someone who had some kind of sickness, and then there were flies all over them, and then those flies travel, carry these diseases, and then boom, boom, boom. Now people are sick and dying everywhere. But he was like, but the thing is, there were no reported corpses here on Donglong Street. So at the most, he was like, I'm sorry, Xiao Zhiye, which I thought was hilarious. But he was like, but if anything, people should contract an STD, not the pox. So how did it get here? Right? And so Qiao Tianya says that he suspects that someone, I'm thinking maybe in the palace, has done it. Who knows? Anyway, Xiao Zhiye, who's been unconscious for days, finally wakes. So let me see. Then we also have, of course, questions on page 302, which is, why did Li Jianheng leave the palace? Okay, this man, we know that he may have liked to play and all of those things, but his life has been threatened too many times in such a short span of time. Would he really leave the palace after having just survived an assassination attempt just a couple weeks ago? So it's like, okay, who convinced him to leave out, right? And then we have here where it says Xiao Zhiye's intuition told him that it wasn't the Empress Dowager. I also agreed with that sentiment. And if anything, this moment, all of this chaos was a moment for her to stage her comeback. Like, Li Jianheng cannot die. And I don't even remember if I said anything in the moment, but I definitely felt like it wasn't the Empress Dowager. I don't like biological warfare. I don't like the Empress Dowager, but I understand that she's not a complete idiot, right? So from the moment that everything happened, she was there right by his side when he woke up, and called him by the intimate Jianheng, which he'd never received from any mother. And so even though she had her concerns before and she had instructed for Shen Zichuan to kill him before, he's in a different state right now, and it's possible that she could see him as being someone that she can manipulate a bit. Because, yes, he's a grown man, which is why she thought before that she wouldn't be able to control him, but he's also a politically naive young man. So, ain't no way in the world this was her doing, right? He has poor impulse control, and when someone supports his hair-brained ideas, he just goes along with them. Oh, I mentioned that I thought the Empress hadn't done it. Yeah. Just because I don't like her doesn't mean I'm going to blame her for everything. So then we move to chapter 67, which is entitled Sharing a Bed. And I'm so happy that not all of these chapters are like super duper deep in the politics and everything, because it would be so sucky if we had to review 10 chapters of really in-depth material. Because we are on the third chapter and it is only 35 minutes and 30 seconds in. So that's very good. Um, Someone who is extremely close to the emperor is the one who is responsible. Yep. And we're looking at Muju. I'm looking at Muju. Anybody else looking at her? He's also able to father an imperial heir. Yeah, which is something that is mentioned later on. Exactly. She got to have somebody in the cradle. So, chapter 67, Sharing a Bed. Very exciting stuff. We have an intimate moment of Shan Zichuan touching Xiao Chuye's stubble. That's just how I'm going to put it. Eyes Muju again. I'm going to pretend like she's over there. Okay. So he's touching on his stubble and everything, and it's just like this really cute moment. And for a moment, I was like, wow, he's just so brazen about this, Lanzhou. Okay. But again, considering where he was vulnerably before, it makes sense that, he would wake up, then he sees Xiao Chuye, and it's just like, it's so cute. Oh, for the emperor's sake, you hope it's not Muju. I hope it's not her either, but I still feel like there's something wrong with her that it won't be for the emperor's sake. It's gonna suck really bad. So then, on the same page that this chapter opens, we get down to the bottom, and it says that Shan Zichuan gazed at him, Xiao Chuye, obviously, with eyes like mountain lakes misted with fog, twin pools of yearning he revealed only to Xiao Chuye. I was like, bro, that's a win. That's a win. This whole moment, I'm sure, has Xiao Chuye just like tweaking on the inside, like yes, 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 because he's been showing so much care and affection for this man. And he finally got Shan Zichuan even to just look at him differently. To look at him differently. And even like, him touching on him and he's like, have you gotten your fill? And he's like, almost. You're just like, oh, so cute. This is so amazing. And yes, I do love the poetry of this so freaking much. So then as we continue on, we have it that the very long title of a position, Director of Wit at the Directorate of Ceremonial Affairs. That position is still vacant, and this is bad. Very, very bad. And so Xiao Chuye and Shan Zichuan, they realize this is not something that they can do anything about. Then we move forward because Xiao Chuye has been digging ditches, taking care of Shan Zichuan, digging ditches. I mean, not digging, unclogging them, taking care of Shan Zichuan, and he's exhausted. Baby hasn't gotten any sleep at all. And so he's been on an adrenaline rush, if you will. And he's like, it's time for me to take a nap. Can I take a nap with you right here, please? Yes, thank you. Okay, let's do that. So he gets his sleep in and he ends up sleeping way longer than he thought he was going to. In fact, what did it say? He slept until what? What did it say? He slept late. Okay, I don't need to point out the specific. The point is, he slept really late. And he was just holding on to Shen Zitran while he slept. And I thought it was funny because, he was like, "You're too thin." And he was like, "Don't worry, you'll get proper nourishment and we'll have you fattened by the winter because wild game from Libe is going to be here." And I'm just like, ha ha ha. He said Pandruge died long ago, so right, gotta fill that position. So yeah, Pandrugue is gone. Okay, L dead, executed. Okay. Um, the imagery of Sa'an pacing, being a wolf, pacing his den was perfect. Yes, especially considering wolves pace when their mates are vulnerable and not able to move. Yes. Yeah, that's why it being not staffed is so bad since it was his job. Yeah. So then we move on, and the ditches have been dredged. Hallelujah. Shanzatran has recovered. Hallelujah. And he could finally take a breather from everything that was going on. Just a quick breather, but a breather nonetheless. Nonetheless, sorry. And he's a bit suspicious of Muju. Go figure. Suspicious of her because the emperor does not trust anybody but her. He doesn't trust eunuchs. He don't have them by his side whispering things in his ear. It's just Muju. So it's like, who else could it have been that convinced him to leave, and why convinced him to leave other than Muju? Side eye Muju. She'd be the only one to convince him. But it's kind of like, well, why would she do that? Because she's not even pregnant, right? She doesn't have an heir. So she still needs him alive as well to rely on him to, produce an heir. We'll see. Then we move forward and we have Wang Xian being demoted from the Ministry of Revenue to the Ministry of Rights because it was said that he had a reputation for bribery, which we will get more details on, of course, going in the future as far as the whole case and everything. But he was demoted, and he was the man that Xiao Tria hounded all the time for the money for the imperial army for every single piece of manual labor that they did. And when the silk case came up, turns out it happened to go through his hands. So he ended up being found guilty, probably should have been imprisoned, but instead he was demoted. And so Xiao Tria is thinking about having Wang Xian specifically sent to Zhongbo to help the rebuilding process because this man didn't really do anything wrong. He just got caught up in a scandal, if you would. And so it's just like, boo, he's suffering consequences that he may not necessarily have deserved. But if he can go, whoever goes to Zhongbo and helps them rebuild is going to receive great merit, honestly, because this is something that has been a struggle for what, 5, 6 years? So whoever can really just like get that thing done, oh to the yeah. So then we continue, and of course, it was Xiao Tria that got him to just be in the Ministry of Rights instead of going to prison. So, anyway, Zhongbo is filled with bandits and rogues right now. Very difficult. And so he's like, if he can get Wang Xian there, then he can have eyes there without necessarily being there. He can have eyes on the grain for the Libe army and everything. Yes, he was the scapegoat. So it's just really, really interesting to see him want to get that guy over there. Then we have Xue Xiu Zhou. I call him a sleeper. This guy has risen fairly nicely through the ranks. No one really had their eyes on him like that, but apparently he is very intelligent. Not only that, he has a great reputation with people. He has contacts in the 8 great clans and has good relationships with the common people. Okay, sure. And what does it say? Background officials appointed by Han Liang Yi. Oh, right. So this is the thing that, is Oh, I see. No, no, no. Not with common people. I didn't finish my sentence. Why it look like a period, but that's really the letter I. Okay. Don't mind me. He has really good relationships with common people, officials who are of common background. Not nobility, but of common background. And these people were appointed by Hai Liang. Sometimes my notes be like, huh? So then we move forward and we get to this moment between Shan Zichuan and Xiao Chuye. Yeah, because he wants more information on Xiu Zhou. And what does Shan Zichuan do to get him to speak, or hopefully get him to speak? He calls his first name. I recorded that scene like 2 or 3 times because when I said, Tsuan, I was like, I feel like that didn't capture it well. So then I went back and recorded. And I was like, Tsuan. And I was like, wait, let me go back and record again. Because I was like, whoa, this is like a big moment. How am I supposed to record Lanzhou saying Tsuan for the first time? Man, it's just crazy. Well, consider how many times in past chapters there were suspicious points about her. Yes. With all the bad luck, everyone around her has a Shelian level of bad karma. Scapegoat, yeah. You said that guy Wang Xian, I can't take him seriously because of his name. Okay. Honestly, I don't even think about that, but yes, I can see that for people that constantly have MXTX on their brains. I can see why you would think that. mm, Imagine it playing every time he shows up. Y'all are funny. He said, "That's Lanzhou for you. He keeps surprising you every time." I was so surprised. I was like, "Sir, not you just threw that out there like that." Oh, okay. Meanwhile, Xiao Chuya is like, he's not going to fall for it, but he totally falls for it. Who are we kidding? Let me get my notes. Ah! I just had a sticky note fall out. That's not cool. Imperial Edict. What? Did you fall out from this page? Y'all, I'm so upset because some sticky notes that I bought from Amazon, it's the same brand I always get, but this batch, for some reason, the stickies aren't sticking. And so I threw like a whole chunk of them away because I'm like, why aren't you sticking? So now I just had a sticky note fall out. Where is a writing utensil? Bro. Okay. So since this sticky note fell out, I will make it again on a different sticky note. All is well. Okay. Sorry, you guys. So then we move to the chapter 68, Torrent of Passion. I should have known just from the title alone, right? I should have. So we move forward. My note says, kissy, kissy, touchy, touchy. So y'all think I have efficient notes over here. Kissy, kissy, touchy, touchy. I think that's thorough. Yeah. So let me also just make sure I'm not missing anything on here. Nope. Okay, we're good to go. So he has to find a good way for, he got to find a good way for him to talk. So after some kissy kissy touchy touchy, Xiao Zhan's like, I'm not gonna fall for it, and he says, "What will you fall for?" And eventually, he's also like, "I'm afraid some men say one thing and mean another." And so Xiao is like, "Who you calling a hypocrite? I'm very honest." And he's like, "Well, your body's honest. That's about it." Oh my gosh. And so of course Xiao is just like, "I'm well rested. I haven't had you in a while. Like, can I get a reward?" Because basically, he said, "I've abstained for so long. Give me a little reward." And of course, Shen Zhichuan is like, "I just recovered. I don't have the energy for this." Mind you, the chapter is called Torrent of Passion. So screw what you just said. You don't have the energy for it. You just recovered. You're a little bit fragile. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. And so of course, Xiao Zhan's like, I wouldn't take advantage of you, basically. I'm not going to make you exert yourself when you're so fragile. And Shen Zhichuan is like, yeah, that's a lie. He's like, I already know that you're going to try to cajole me. You're going to try to trick me. And I'm going to say no, no, no. But then once we get into bed, it's not going to matter. I was just like, oh my gosh, y'all need to stop. But don't. Please don't. And so QJJ putting his money where his mouth is. The title tells you what happens. Yes. Yes. And so, kissy, kissy, touchy, touchy, yes. But then he eventually does get him to talk about Xue Xiuzhou. So, again, Xue Xiuzhou, he was born of common birth, low birth. He had a concubine mom. He was a neglected child. He started education late. Doesn't this sound like somebody else we know? The Emperor. So many of these common born people are getting elevated into positions, and honestly, it's a really, really cool thing. Liar, 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 liar. Pan's gonna drop faster than fire. Exactly. So actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I think now is the appropriate time to bring up the comment that you left on one of my videos. Story Jumper. You said, Xiao Chuya plays at being a scoundrel, but truly has a gentleman's heart, while Shen Zhichuan acts like a cold villain, but has the heart of a maiden. It's beautiful. I thought that was perfect. That perfectly describes these two. Lovely. I always like seeing your comments. So, thank you. Pants are exploding. I don't want to imagine that. So anyway, Xue Xiuzhou. He is of low birth, concubine mom, neglected, started education late, but he's very intelligent and he's very talented. But also it doesn't matter because even though people saw that, he was overshadowed by Yao Wenyu, which if you guys remember, that is Hailiang Yi's first and only disciple. Disciple. Pupil is the word I was looking for. Student, if you will. Protege. Okay, done. It was a nice comment. So, he even was the first one to send a message to Hailiang Yi in desires to be his pupil, but he was rejected. So even though he was rejected, he was very civil about it. There was even a point where something happened with Hailiang Yi, and he went over to help out to rectify the issue. Even in his younger days, he spoke on the same issues that Hailiang Yi spoke of, which was typically pay increase and expenditure reduction, fixing local farms, and field registers for the people. So he was very for the people. He was by the people. For the people, by the people, if you will. So either way, even though he was not accepted as a student of Hailiang Yi, clearly the relationship between them two was more like student and teacher than even Hailiang Yi and Yao Wenyu. So I have a highlight on page 319. So what does my highlight say? Shen Zhichuan thinks that Xue Xiuzhou is being contradictory now. Because yes, he talked about all of these things that would help the people in the past, in his younger years, but now that he's been promoted, he speaks differently. Which is no surprise. Not to say this is always something that happens, but sometimes people, when they elevate to a higher position, Now suddenly they forget where they came from. And it's not even necessarily about sticking to your guns or making sure you continue to hang out with all the people or in that area or anything, but you just completely forget about them. you know your goals and priorities shift and change, and some of those goals and priorities that shift and change are good, but then in some other cases it's kind of like, okay, well, you don't have to look down on us. You don't have to completely just forget about us. Not to say that you're obligated, but he just seems completely different now. His tune has changed. And so I'm like, okay, has he really changed? Or is he just pretending to be contradictory? Is he pretending to have changed? We don't know. No clue at all. But it is pretty interesting. Like, it's one thing for someone who lives in a rough neighborhood, they grow up, and let's say they become famous, and they forget about the neighborhood they grew up in. Honestly, I don't see a problem with that. What do they owe the neighborhood? Absolutely nothing, unless it was filled with people that you were really close to who were helping you and investing in you to elevate you one day. But for someone like him, who often spoke on issues concerning the common folk, and then when you get elevated higher, it's kind of like, oh, never mind. Then that's where the problem is. Yeah, I think I'll put it that way, because I don't think that people who suddenly, who get money and all of that stuff are obligated to pay respects to their hometown and all of that crap, whatever. So then we move forward, and we have this moment where maybe you get more insight into the machinations of the powerfuls. Yeah, might also be that you become disillusioned about what is possible. So you adjust when you try what you try to do / achieve. Exactly. We don't know the reason why he has shifted gears. So then we move forward, and Xiao Chuye is looking askance at Xue Xiuzhou as potentially one of the people that's behind the scenes orchestrating things. He's like, you think maybe it could be him? We don't know. So then we have them talking still and everything. And Shen Zichuan mentions that, Xiang Yuan is gone, and he's like, oh, you lost a beauty. And he was like, I can always get another beauty, don't it'll be fine. And Shen Zichuan is like, if you pay me, I'll drink with you, but if you don't, I won't. And he says, I'm dirt poor. And so he was like, I mean, I'm a fine specimen, though. So, come on. And I love this moment because we don't really get this from Shen Zichuan. It's clear that in some areas he is lacking in self-esteem. But here, it's at least clear that he knows he looks good, right? Because he says, I, Shen Lanzhou, am also quite dashing. I can admire myself in the mirror. I don't need another person. And I was like, come on, Lanzhou, let me see some confidence. Because the last time you were looking at yourself, you were like, I'm a wretched, monstrous killer, slayer of demons, skinning people, donkey guy, murder. And so, what did I just say? And so it was just really nice to see him have this little moment, because I was like, yes. So then we have some more flirty McFlirt in bed, which is what my notes say, flirty McFlirts in bed with a lot of exclamation points. And Shen Zichuan, obviously, he doesn't want to fool around, because he knows that in bed, like I said, any denials will turn into yeses. I don't remember how it was said on Family Guy. No, yes, Family Guy. But 6 no's and a yes means yes. Pretty much where we are with this, but in a much different way than what Family Guy meant. So he said basically any denial was futile. Indeed, it was futile. It was futile because they got it on. And the funny thing is, they had to be really sneaky about it. Because the embroidered uniform guard, these are guys who, they got them ears, right? They can hear. And so it was like, we gotta be quiet about this. Don't moan. Like, don't move too fast. We don't want the bed rocking. Y'all know the bed rock sound. And so he's just like, shh, we gotta be quiet about this, which I just think is hilarious. Anyway, we have beauty who knows he's beautiful. Exactly. Yes. And he even knows how to tease. Yes. And I just think about the earlier chapters in volume one. Was it volume one? I think it was volume one. When even Xiao Chuye was like, I don't even think he realizes just his look alone is such a tease, or certain looks that he makes are teases. And I'm to the point now that either he didn't know, but he began to realize that some things concerning Xiao Chuye that he could work with, or he always knew. I don't know which one it is, but So let me see. Um, the epidemic was averted, or it was put on a smaller scale. So yay. But now that it's been averted, oh, I'm sorry. Before we go further, I have to look at my highlight on page 321 because Xiao Chuye was like, Shen Zichuan, a man of pure heart and few desires, which is it? And he was like, that's Shen Zichuan. You were calling for Shen Lanzhou in his sleep. Whom do you want? Xiao Chuye says, I want both. And I was just like, yes, because he understands Lanzhou. He understands both of his sides. We are multifaceted people. And he's like, I want all of you. I want this version of you and that version of you. Yep, going to mix them together. Thank you very much. So now I'll move on. Epidemic has been brought to this, whatever this is that I'm making. And then now that that is over, it's time to go back to the second main issue. Who is responsible for this? This was what people, the nobles, were trying to make the first most important thing. Now they can get back to it. So, Li Tianheng, he's been very delirious with his pox or whatever. Muzhu, still by his side. Still don't trust her. The Empress Dowager is noting how great this whole situation is for Muzhu. Exactly. And she's like, yeah, when that girl wakes up, the emperor is going to be in the palm of her hand, essentially. It's like, oh, she's actually really smart. She's going to gain all of the favor, all of the immunity, no matter what happened, because she is right there by his side. And we learn that initially the Empress actually wanted to get rid of Muzhu. But after seeing how smart she was, after seeing, that she's even spoken up on the Empress Dowager's behalf, which was, I'm sure, very intentional, she's like, okay, so we just need to find a way to keep her in our grasp. So my question is, when she says we need to keep her in our grasp, is she saying we need to keep her as in we already have her, or we need to keep her as in we need to get her? And I know you're like, well, if they needed to get her in the grasp, they would just say we need to get her in our grasp. But sometimes in English, you can just say, we need to keep so-and-so in our grasp. And the meaning is to get. We don't always follow our rules. So I was like, you mean keep as in you got her, or keep as in mean get her, then keep her? So I still don't know just yet. She's foot fungus, hard to get rid of. Listen, you know what, Stephanie? We're not going to talk about it. Yes. So anyway, moving forward, is like she seems soft, but she's got a backbone. And the question, though, is why isn't she pregnant? Why isn't she pregnant? Because there was nothing reported about an issue with her body. I'm sure if there was an issue with Li Jianheng, that would have been reported as well, but there is not. So why isn't she pregnant? And we know they're doing it. We know they're doing it, right? We know. So anyway, there's that question. Then we have previously, we learned all of the other imperial descendants. They were either disposed of, taken care of, or they died. So it was just the Xianda emperor, who's now dead, and Li Jianheng. So now all we have is Li Jianheng from these descendants. Well, there's that. Next, page 2 of my notes. The Empress dislikes Muzhu, right? I already said that. Yep, I did. But she needs her to birth an heir. So she's like, okay, well, we're going to have to be in her good graces and monitor her belly. So I think it was Third Lady Hua. I always forget her name. Hua Xiangyi. There it is. Because I be wanting to say Liangyi, which is for Hai Liangyi. Hua Xiangyi. Y'all see my dilemma. Anyway, she's like, oh, remember her brother? He's a eunuch now. He can't get married, so how about no, my note says, let's give Mr. Donkey Skinner a position in the palace, in the 24 yamen, and get them, the two siblings, in their good graces. So apparently his name is not Feng Qing or whatever, Feng Quan. His name is Mr. Donkey Skinner in my notes. So they're going to do that and everything. Then they move forward to talk about Hua Xiangyi's upcoming marriage to Qi Shiyu. Hate his name. Qi Shiyu and Hua Xiangyi, their wedding is coming up, and the Qi clan they still don't want to offend the Xiao clan, right? So they refused to accept the Empress Dowager's suggestion of using the Earl of Biansha, Lu Pingyan, to come get Hua Xiangyi and do the procession and all that stuff. Instead, it was Qi Juying, the female of the 4 great generals, who is coming to get her instead. And the Empress is not happy about it, and she knows, obviously, they're trying not to offend the Xiao clan. Wah, 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 wah. Another suspicion, I say. So she's not happy about that. Then we move to a different scene where we have Xiao Chiyet visiting Tan Tai Hu. Oh, y'all, also, I just realized that these notes cover 2 chapters. So Torrent of Passion, yes, but this also covered chapter 69, Recounting of Merits. Y'all have to excuse me, apparently. So hold on. Because I would have said when I switched to the next chapter, although I guess it doesn't matter like that much. We all read it. So anyway, okay, so Xiao Chiyet visits Tan Tai Hu, who's finally recovered because he fell ill as well. You said, weird technical question, did eunuchs get it chopped off without painkillers? I'm believing there probably weren't any. I don't even know how I would phrase that into Google. Did eunuchs in China have any painkillers for when they got... No, what is eunuchs as in UNIX? That's not what I'm saying. A eunuch. 1 second. Maybe lots of booze. I think there did exist something like painkillers. I mean, I would think so too. Probably some kind of blended concoction. I was gonna try to look it up, but it's trying to make me it's not putting it in as it should. It keeps putting UNIX when I talk it out. I don't know. That's an interesting question. If anyone looks it up, please let us know. So where did I leave off? Yes, Xiao Chiyet goes to visit Tan Tai Hu, who is now recovered from the pox as well. And Tan Tai Hu actually points out that he discovered something weird about this illness, and that is that it affected a lot of young and strong people. A lot of times when we get sicknesses out there, the ones that they affect the worst are the infants and the old people. But this one seemed to be targeted toward younger and strong people. So like some old people died, or some people, old people were struggling really badly with it, but it seemed to really hit this particular section of people. And he just finds it really, really weird. And then Xiao Zhiye proceeds to ask him about his children. He was like, "You are sick. Well, you were sick. So, how are you doing?" I'm also trying to make sure I go to, yeah, here we go. He's like, "How are your kids doing?" Right? And so Tang Jiu is surprised that he even asked about his kids, which at this point, why are we surprised? Because even when you were kicked out of the Imperial Army, Chun Yang still brought Xiao Zhiye's money to you, your pay, when you were fired. So why, and it was because of your children. So why are you surprised? But okay, sure. So anyway, he says that his children are being taken care of, by the Imperial Army. He's like, at least they're being fed, they're fine. And so he goes on to say that, it must have been difficult for Tang Jiu because with a lot of people in the Imperial Army, they don't have wives. They have to take care of their children on their own. And then dealing with this epidemic was not easy at all. And even some of them fell ill. And so he is like, I'm going to make sure that Chun Yang reports your hard work to the Ministry of War so that you may receive a merit for your work and earn a promotion. Not only that, I am going to make sure that the internal administrative division of the Imperial Army gives you child support that's going to come directly from my wallet, if you will. My money is going straight to you for child support. And I was like, can this man get any better? And the answer is yes, because then right after that, he says that any soldiers who dug out the ditches, make sure they get a bonus. And for anyone who ended up in the same type of predicament as Tang Jiu specifically, he is going to take care of them out of his own pocket, them and their whole family. Again, can this man get any better? You say, okay, look the eunuchs and painkillers up. You don't want to know? I don't know, Anne. I kind of want to know. Can you tell us? I do want to know. I'm curious. Curious George. Or since I'm a woman, I'm Curious Georgina. I want to know. So I'm gonna wait. Hopefully you'll comment it. Let me see. So anyway, Xiao Zhiye has the Imperial Army in the palm of his hand. That is what Xiao Tianya says. They didn't have any painkillers during or after. Really? That sucks. That actually really, really sucks. Really bad. But I'm glad I ain't living them periods, and I'm glad I ain't a man, and I'm glad that I'm grateful. That's all I could say. Because oh my gosh, what? And hold on really quickly. I think I'm seeing something from. Okay, these are notes from when we get to that point in the chapter. I'll remember to say those, Meg. You said that's rough, buddy. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't know if you're just saying it that way or if I'm picking up your exact reference. That is amazing. Okay, please tell me you are referencing what I think you're referencing. And if you're not, then I'm going to feel so alone. That's rough, buddy. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to wait really quickly. I'm going to take a couple of bites of my stuff. Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. I needed that. That's perfect. Castration included. Ooh, really? Wow. That's thank you for that knowledge, Stephanie. That's disgusting. Not just the penis, but also the whew. Yeah, I'm very grateful. Is all I'll say. I am grateful that I'm a woman. I don't live in those times, and I am not. Whew, okay, let's just go forward now. I asked. I really didn't want to know. So now we know. Anyway, moving forward, Xiao Chia, what I said, oh yeah, Xiao Tianya says that Xiao Chia has the imperial army in the palm of his hand. And of course, Shen Zhuan is like, well, this is in regard to his own life. So of course he did all of those things, you know. But Xiao Tianya is like, no, you're not understanding. Is this to plan things out to make sure that he's safe and sound? Yes. But he also clearly had, like, not to say that Shen Zhuan doesn't, but he clearly has a heart for his people, you know, right? He exactly, how does he put it? Yeah, he has made the most of his opportunities, yes, but he's also won their hearts. He has these men in the palm of his hand, first by punishing them, rewarding. He's made them obedient. Even the roots of trouble have become a stabilizing force. So I think it's just, you know, then he goes on to say that Shen Zhuan is too cold hearted, to which Shen Zhuan is just like, this is the embroidered uniform guard. That's the Imperial Army. The way things run here and the way things run there are not the same. Okay, thank you very much. And their interaction is just really, really funny. I like their dynamic, their relationship, and I can't wait to see it grow into whatever it's gonna be. Like I hope things go well with in that regard. I won't say anything else. So then we have it. Obviously, Shen Zhuan's house was demolished, right? And so Xiao Triya is like, where you gonna go? Because you can't stay where you were gonna. He was like, I just live on the streets. And then Xiao Triya offers him to stay in his very own place behind his plum blossom villa. And Shen Zhuan is like, it'll be too suspicious if I stay too close to you. And Xiao Triya is like, well, but then I won't be able to see you as often as I want. Basically, I won't be able to see you, spend time with you, and have sex with you. What am I going to do? Like, you can't be too far. So, yes. Then this chapter ends with him asking, Shen Zhuan asking, where is his fan? And Chun Yang just happens to come in. And so Xiao Triya is like, oh, Chun Yang lost it. And I was like, wait, what? And it's so funny because when I went back to listen to my recordings, it did say earlier at some point that Xiao Triya, of course, took his fan and then he tossed it to Chun Yang at some point. So I guess maybe Chun Yang really maybe did lose it. Or maybe it didn't and he just sat it somewhere and he could probably just go back and get it. But nevertheless, Xiao Triya is like, I just get you another one. And don't worry, it'll be just as gaudy and tactless as the one before. You're good. And then Imperial Edict. So that again was chapters 68 through 69 because the notes were lumped together on those. My wife will not sleep on the streets. Anyone else hear that bus? Wait, you mean like here? Or is that a reference I'm not getting? I hope y'all didn't hear. I was like, I love this mic was better. Um, oh, you heard this? Yeah. That's coming from, it's right here, like the mic, boom, boom, boom. Oop. Did you really hear a bus? Oh, okay, thank you. I'm a little slow on the uptake. I guess maybe I would have gotten it if I saw the comment sooner. Because Because I'm like, what bus? Not me over here thinking you literally heard a bus because I am near a street. Y'all, I promise I'm smart. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. Not that that means I'm smart, but I got A's and B's. I promise. You were confused too. At least it's not Ting Tong. Right. At least it's not Ting Tong. Because of you guys, I have to look up how they pee. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that one. And I'm not sure I need to know the answer to that one. So, apparently, my next notes are two chapters lumped together again. It's going to be chapters 70 through 71. So, chapter 70 is reopening. Chapter 71 is trap. So, I'm going to do another great move quickly. You guys only have two left. I'm really sad. So, we have chapter 70 opening where Xiao Chuye and of course, everyone's kneeling to receive the imperial edict, right? Peaks on way home. Hi, NFS. Nice to see you. So, we have everyone kneeling to receive the edict, and then, of course, the eunuch, whose name was it Fuman, I believe? He's like, rise, commander. This is for you. You will be the rewatch team. Okay, bet. Have fun rewatching. We'll miss you live. So, the eunuch and Xiao Chuye, they sit down somewhere, have tea, and they're making nice with each other. We missed you, NFS. I know, I ain't gonna lie. I was looking for NFS, like, where? Where? But it's okay. NFS, you must be at every live session on time, no matter what, or you'll be punished. Just kidding. No pressure at all. So, Xiao Chuye and the eunuch are making nice with each other. They're filling each other out to see, like, okay, is this eunuch someone I could possibly rely on to get information in the palace or from the palace? And Fuman is like, is this someone I can possibly rely on to be in good graces with when I need help? And, some hum. So, just very interesting. Nevertheless, he said, not Friday nights, got pub quiz. Ooh, nice. So, look, that's totally fine. You do what you do. I'm just messing around. So, the imperial edict is basically just giving praise, but it's very, very vague on any rewards that are going to be given out, which, of course, they expected this. So, Fuman was usually in the Grand Secretariat, which we know Hailiang Yi is also there, but he can't stand eunuchs for obvious reasons, because eunuchs be eunuchin, okay? Eunuchs have their own special schemes that they be on, okay? So even Fuman couldn't look him in the eye. So him being able to sit with someone else who's clearly in a high position like Xiao Chuye and just having a nice drink in a chat, he's feeling like really good about this, right? So Xiao Chuye, he inquires about Shun Zitran's reward, which of course the eunuch is thinking he just wants to know because they're adversaries and he wants to know what it is, but he wants to know for real. And the eunuch says that there are chances that of course Shun Zitran would be promoted. Who's going to argue? Even if they disagree because of Shun Wei, like who's going to argue at a time like this, right? And so we do see that it is dangerous to be given such a promotion and on top of promotion and everything in such a small period of time, because so many things have been established by these nobles, right? And so they're going to potentially try to bully Shun Zitran out of jealousy and resentment. But as long as Shun Zitran can handle himself, then it doesn't really matter. Your cat finally decided to join you and listen along. Hey, kitty! Meow. Was that convincing? I hope so. Anyway, we have then Xiao Chia and Fu Man. They part ways, and Fu Man notices that he feels a little weight of something, and it's money. It's a gift, which we all know when eunuchs are given money, we know what that's for. When they're given money by someone, when they're given a gift by someone, it's so they can have them in their pocket. He's definitely in Xiao Chia's pocket. So anyway, then we go back to this Liang Cui Xian person who was the man that Shan Zichuan specifically tasked with recording every single distribution that was distributed. Weird sentence. But he comes back because he did indeed keep a record of all the herbs, all the medicines that had gone out, and he came to recount it. And so we see that he made a thorough copy of everything. And Shan Zichuan is like, okay, give this to the Ministry of Revenue, give it to the Imperial Army. So now that the crisis has been averted, it's time to play the blame game again, as well as mete out rewards. So we have Liang Cuishan, who we see is just a clerk. That's his position. And in spite of his skills, he hasn't really been able to rise anywhere because he can't pay his way up the ladder. You know, the time that he was in, it's when the Hua clan kept getting in his way over and over again. And when it should have been him to get a promotion, they were elevating somebody in the Hua clan because they had the money to pay their way to the top. But we have that it's clear Shan Zichuan wants to get him promoted. So he's like crying by himself, and he's really, really grateful for this. We learned that he's a very studious individual and he wanted to show his talents, but they kept also getting stolen. And anytime he tried to transfer, they wouldn't allow him to do so. So that really sucks. Then you said you sent a pic of your pet to, oh, I'm finna go look. Oopsie. Oh, this is such a cute picture. There's so much personality in it. Y'all, look at this. This is our kitty, Megan's kitty. He's like, love the personality. Oh, wait, did I heart it? I don't even know. Did I? Well, there, I just put something else. She actually responded when you said hi. Really? I knew my cat impressions were good. Meow. Not that one. So then we move on. And after 2 days, I call it the prohibition to the palace, but that's not really the word for it. The prohibition to palace access has been lifted. So people can now enter and exit again. Anyway, things are going back to normal. And Xiao Chia and Shan Zichuan know that things are still only going to get more difficult from here. There's so much that needs to be uncovered from all of this. And so leaving the Temple of Guilt, Shan Zichuan is going to the house to get his Shifu and Xiansheng. Only to find out that cat tax. Only to find out that Xi Hongxuan found this house. Yep. And he's like physically weak, obviously, because he was crushed under all that stuff. So he's not really in good shape, but he's there. And he's got Shan Zichuan and Xiao Tianya surrounded, right? And he knows now about Jigang and Qi Huilian. But the most important one to know about is Qi Huilian, Grand Mentor Qi. So he's talking, and, Shan Zichuan is just like, why are you drawing a blade on me? If I did something and you're going to kill me, I at least want to know what I'm dying for, basically. And so he's like, well, you have Qi Huilian. I didn't know you were hiding such a person. And so we get to this point where Shan Zichuan keeps saying, like, he's crazy. He's crazy. And he's like, are you afraid of a madman? And Xi Hongxuan says, I am. A madman taught a rabid dog who bites a madman taught a rabid dog whose bites caught me off guard and turned me into a bloody pulp. So boom, there he's clearly saying, you're the reason why I'm in the state that I'm in. And Shan Zichuan is like, elaborate. So then he's like, are you the one that set all of this up and you screwed me over with Xiao Chiye? And so Shang Zichuan is like, yep, that was me. Would you believe me if I said that? So then when we get to the next chapter, Trap, we have where Shi Hongxuan says, obscuring truth with falsehood. You're setting traps again. Shenlan Zhou, do you think I won't kill you? And I highlighted obscuring falsehood, truth with falsehood, because one of the things that I learned from the woman that gave birth to me is that you only need to sprinkle in a little bit of truth to sell a lie. One second. My laptop charger is not plugged in. There we go. You only need a little bit of truth to sell a lie. And that's probably one of the best ways to sell a lie, because if your story does not sound feasible enough, if there's not even just some little bits of truth in there, then you have the potential of people not falling for it. So I just thought it was interesting that he was like, I feel like you're telling me the truth, but also like lying to me at the same time, which is true. Because Shen Zichuan actually did not plan all of this that we know of. I mean, but he didn't plan the stuff that happened. He's trying to figure out how it happened. But has he teamed up with Xiao Chu yet? He has. So are they potentially trying to take you and some other people, the Acre clans, down and stuff? Potentially, maybe, but So then we move on, and I thought it was interesting because then Xi Hongxuan says, for whatever it's worth, we were brothers. He said with an insincere smile. So it's like you can't even fault Shen Zichuan for anything because, my guy, you are not sincere either. I even remember you having Xu Shuizhou hiding when you were talking to Shen Zichuan, and when Shen Zichuan left, you were like, we're trying to fulfill whatever this is so we can figure out exactly what his motives are, blah blah blah. So you're doing stuff behind his back as well. Don't sit there and act like you aren't what's the word I'm looking for, you aren't plotting as well. So then we move forward, and again, Xi Hongxuan thinks that Mentor T is feigning insanity. So then we have these expressions that I just want to point out really quickly, because Xi Hongxuan is just like, you were in the temple of guilt and you came out a new man. How is that possible? Please tell me how you've become so resourceful and just the way that you are. And so Shen Zichuan says, man proposes, heaven disposes. So really quickly, I just wanted to teach you all how to say that. And man proposes is going to be 谋事在人, heaven disposes, 成事在天. So 谋事在人, 成事在天. And 谋事在人 is 谋 to scheme, 事 matters like things, 在 can be like a gerund, ing, scheming on matters. 人 is person. So a scheming person. Or then the next part, 成 to become, 事 matters, 在 same thing, 天 heaven, so becomes matters of heaven. There you go on that one. Then we move forward, and the Shen Zichuan is just talking about all of their predicaments, saying how they're in the same boat as far as things that they have encountered. And then he says, you're so eager to rid yourself of someone as soon as he's outlived his usefulness, like killing the donkey the moment it leaves the millstone. Now, while this paid my cat tax as well. While this is not the exact saying here, as far as you're so eager to rid someone as soon as he's outlived his usefulness, I wanted to give you all another expression. It's an idiom specifically that was used in Yuwu, and that is 鸟尽弓藏. So 鸟is bird. What do I have? 尽. Crap, hold on. What was 尽 again? Shoot, I don't remember. Gong is the bow for the bow and arrow, and song is the bee. So I didn't write down what all of the words mean. How did I not do that? Anyway, Niao Jing Gong Tang is basically saying when the birds are gone, the bow is hidden. So once someone has outlived their use, then time to shoot the arrow on them, get rid of them. Anyway, so then we move forward, and Shantachuan was one of the only ones who knew about the whole layout and everything of Hua Pavilion. Oh Hua Pavilion is what we learned. So that's another reason why Shi Hongxuan thinks that he was the cause of this. Because he's like, I know the schematics of the pavilion. You know the schematics of the pavilion, but no one else does. And so he says that, Shen Zhichuan is like, why would I team up with him? Xiao Chuye. Everything that he has, like, I don't lack anything that he doesn't have. I don't lack for anything that he does have. Like, there's nothing I could gain from him. And Shi Hongshan is like, he has an army. Like, he has men to fight. He has soldiers. And so then, you know, Shen Zhichuan is like, I don't need that either. And he goes on this little rant about there being no difference between noble and common birth. And so here we have Shi Hongxuan that's saying, like, these are such treacherous words. You regard the social order of this world as nothing, but you have to admit some people are born to be masters. If there's no difference between those of common and lawful birth, how can a bloodline maintain its legitimacy? And the reason why I wrote this one down is simply for the fact that the rain falls and the sun shines on everybody. Noble and common birth are as much of a lie as money having worth. One day, man just decided, oh, this piece of paper equals this much value, and you have to have this much in order to get this product or this thing. We that paper doesn't have any worth. The paper that we are holding has no worth, but it's the greatest lie ever told, and we all follow this system. And it's the same thing with this. We all feel the sunshine, we all feel the rain fall. It's just that some man decided, I'm better than you, I'm royal. But that's not true. Not true at all. We are all human beings, we all bleed red blood, and if we don't, then you're probably an alien. So, anyway, we keep going. They're having this conversation, and it gets to the point where we know that for Shi Hongxuan, one of his greatest strengths is also his greatest weakness, and that is his mouth, being able to talk so eloquently. But in this moment, he is talking with Shen Zhichuan because he's unclear. He's not sure if Shen Zhichuan is really the one behind it. And because he's so in this moment and trying to have his eloquence of speech and figure things out, he's getting pulled in by this very stone-faced, like, I'm not showing you anything, I'm so calm, Shen Zhichuan. So that happens a lot of times, of course. Our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness, you know. So I just thought that that was very interesting. And Shen Zhichuan tells Shi Hongxuan that he's keeping Grand Mentor Qi for the chance of a hidden Li family member, which of course Shi Hongxuan is like, that doesn't exist. Do you think they would show mercy to any member that could possibly come back and kill them or take the throne? No, that's not a thing. So then we have on page 351 where Shen Zhichuan says, if he dies, His Majesty, there's nobody else surnamed Li in all of the Zhou Empire. And I thought about this from all the way back to page 208, so over 100 pages ago, when at the end of, then I put what at the end of a specific chapter. I didn't say what chapter it was, but in case anyone wants to go back to it, 1 second. At the end of chapter 57, entitled Case Closed, it ended with Li Jianheng thinking, what if there was someone else in this world surnamed Li? Impossible. There's no way. I've been thinking about that since it was said all the way back then. And so now I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it might be possible. I think it might be possible. So let's just see as we continue on. So then I love this moment on this page because Shen Zhichuan fights logic with logic, or I'll say suspicion with logic, because we have Xi Hongxuan, who's like, how do I know that it was not you? Say for myself, no one is more familiar with the structure of Ohua Pavilion. If anyone could tamper with it, it's you. Look how I encounter calamities one after another, yet you get promoted again and again. The list of your meritorious deeds is growing by the day. I want to specifically talk about the look how I'm having such horrible times and you're just getting promoted. And it's like suspicious. Sure. The other logic is that, as Shen Zichuan says, I have His Majesty's favor. That's all I've attracted. Now is the time for me to accumulate merits and climb my way up. This situation that happened, I'm going to try to find my way to climb up the ladder, yes. But that does not mean that I am the one who orchestrated it. It just means that I seized the opportunity once it was put in front of me. So I like how he fights the suspicion, kind of logical suspicion too, in a way, with logic. I mean, it's just great. And also, he was like, also, if I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna do it when there's actually more in store for me, you know? And then here we have it on the next page where, Xi Hongxuan is terrified because he's remembering Jile and how we saw it. Remember, he ended up throwing up and everything. But to me, I'm like, I don't think you remember that well enough. You need to be reminded more thoroughly about what you saw, because the way you orchestrated this whole thing is just not it. And it even says that he's thinking this man cannot live. So you plan on killing this man. You plan on killing Shen Zichuan, and you're like, his talk of not seeing a difference between lawful and common births already reveals his lack of respect for the 8 great clans, which, again, sir, you're saying you're afraid, that you were terrified, that you will never forget the way Jile looked flayed alive, and that this fear has spurred you to act quickly once your suspicions are aroused. I don't think you're scared enough. Because if you really feel like he's a rabid dog, regardless of your suspicions, whether they were right or wrong, you should have just killed him then. Because now that you have done this, now that you have taken away Ji Gang and Qi Huilian, when that rabid dog gets his opportunity, he will kill you. He will torture you. So it's just like you have put yourself in the worst possible predicament possible. Ji Gang is his only family left. My guy. My guy. I'll be seeing you at your funeral. Or maybe I won't see you. Maybe your body will be mutilated. I'm not sure. But just know that I'll attempt to see you at your funeral, at least. So anyway, in the conversation with each other, they clear the air, but they really don't. And Xi Hongxuan admits that he listens to whoever makes more sense between Shen Zichuan and Xue Xiuzhou. So then my last note is on page 355, where I say, oh yes, Xi Hongxuan is in a pickle. It's going to be hard to come out of this situation clean. He's like, Shen Zichuan, I need you to help me out of this situation, because I'm going to get impeached. But this is a very difficult pickle to get out of, like for real. And the thing is, he could get out of it by paying people. And he said he even has the money. But he doesn't want to pay the money to get out of the situation. And isn't that ironic? Because don't we have it like that these days? A lot of these really, really rich people are paying their way out of the punishment they deserve for the things that they have done. Not going to speak on that because this is not the kind of channel that I have. Just saying it generically. So anyway, then he believes that when the emperor awakes, that the emperor is going to be on his side, because he thinks his whole little speech when they were underneath the pavilion is going to have the emperor like, oh yeah, Xi Hongxuan is my guy. But he also believes that he's going to wake up a new man. So we'll see. Actually, we saw already, but I'm going to speak like we didn't. We'll see if he wakes up a new man. You said body. There's not gonna be a body. Shun's gonna feed him to beasts. Oh gosh. I was thinking the same thing. That's why I said I'm gonna come to your funeral. I'll see you at your funeral, but I'm not sure. I don't know. You might be unrecognizable. You guys, we are almost done. I've got notes for chapter 72 and 73 lumped together. Chapter 72 is called Noble Title. This is when things start to get a little cray cray. I mean, things are always cray cray, but I feel like they got extra cray cray in these chapters going forward. You say Big Pickle reminds me of Ryan George sketch. Oh my gosh, my eye is burning. What did I rub some product in it? Hold on. Um, that sells a sandwich with really big pickle. Ew, really? With a really big pickle? I don't know what y'all are talking about, but okay. Now I feel like I need to see this. And my eye is burning. That's not working. Okay. I might have to go put some water in my eye or something. I don't know. In just a second, I'll see. So, chapter 72, we are down to 2, 3, 4, 5. The last 4 chapters. Okay, let's do this. So, we, of course, know Shi Hongxuan has Ji Gang and Ti Huilian. Shan Zichuan made it seem like that he wants to keep Mentor Qi alive to investigate his case, Shen Wei's case. You know, again, sprinkle in a little bit of truth with a little bit of lie. So, Xi Hongxuan, of course, is like, that's useless. There's no point in doing that. Like, your old man, he's left his imprint, and that just is what it is. It's totally useless. Sure, whatever you say. Anyway, they said they'll be meeting again in a few days. At least that's what Xi Hongxuan said. So then, we get to page 59. Here's what my note says. Neck. That's it. Very efficient, thorough notes. His bowed neck was fair as jade. I just had to point out the appearance of the neck. That's really all there is to that. Shan Zichuan is putting on his robes, or they've been put on, and yeah, that's it. There's nothing important there. They waited until Shi Hongxuan was gone. And he's wanting to figure out a way to get his Qigong and his Grand Mentor Qi back. Okay? So then we have Qiao Tianya and Shan Zichuan talk briefly about loyalty. And Shan Zichuan is basically saying, what is the benefit to loyalty? Because he makes a comment about the house and who it belongs to, and, you know, this person can fall one day and someone else could be sitting on the dragon throne as the rightful ruler. And Qiao Tianya is like, boy, you better stop talking. Sound like some treasonous words. And he's like, what is loyalty? What is it? Have you looked at the Bianjuan commandery? Lu Guangbai and those people who are fighting so diligently for the great empire? What do they get for their loyalty? Nothing. You know, can we look at the Imperial Army when Xiao Triye had to constantly come at the Ministry of Revenue for their money, even though they were providing all this manual labor? What do they get for their loyalty? He's like, loyalty is nothing. Okay? Nothing. So, anyway, we continue for talking a little crazy. Grandpa's off his meds again. You actually agree with the assessment Shen Wei is never going to be cleared, even if it comes out that he was a savior. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, then we move on. I have a highlight on page 61 where it says they're talking about bloodlines again. And, you know, there's no difference between this person and that person. Anyone will die when a sword slashes their neck. I really just like that line. Anyone will die when a sword slashes their neck. Again, we all bleed the same. So I don't see the difference between me and someone else, except for the fact that someone just decided to give him another title, you know? So moving forward, we have, yes, Shen Zhiquan has his grudge against Xi Hongxuan. And we know how he is about grudges. So again, Xi Hongxuan, I'll not see you at your funeral. So we get to court. Everybody is arguing about who is at fault because we love playing the blame game. And everyone is surprised when Li Tianheng mentions that he indeed read the memorial and he has some thoughts about it. They're like, he actually read it? He's got thoughts? Oh, okay. Surprise. He feels like the rewards of gold and jade for Xiao Chiyet are too small and thinking about raising him to the Marquis of Dingdu, stabilizing the capital. So, the title of Marquis is reserved for war veterans. So, of course, Hailiang Yi is like, sir, no. What are you talking about? Kong Chu is like, sir, no. What are you talking about? And he's like, why would you make this decision? And the emperor is like, look, once again, I was in the face of danger. And who saved me? Su'an. Okay? My bro saved me. So I believe that what he did was stabilizing the capital. Like, what would happen if I died? There is no heir. We would be without an emperor. Everybody would be running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So yeah, I think he deserves this title. And you know what? When I think during my audio, I was like, yeah, come on, you better speak your mind. That wasn't necessarily me agreeing with what he was saying, even though I do agree to a degree. But I was just happy that he was speaking his mind, you know, because whether right or wrong, speak your truth and allow people to hear your thoughts so that they can help guide you. Now, he didn't let them guide him, but speak what's on your mind, you know. You are the emperor. These false positions that we have in the world, you are the emperor, so go ahead, speak your mind, my guy. So he does that, and he was like, he saved Chudu from a deadly outbreak as well. So what's happening? So yeah, he even goes so far as to say, like, so y'all think that my life isn't worth anything? Like, what are we saying? What are y'all saying here? And then going over, because people are like, you're being so hasty and sloppy. And he's like, hasty? Sloppy? I've been deliberating over this for quite some time now, you guys. And I asked the opinion of everyone here in attendance, yet y'all calling me hasty. I don't appreciate it. And so, of course, they're all like, because he's like, I can see that y'all are just never out of Kong Chu. You always in step with Elder Hailiang Yi. Maybe he should be on the throne. Who's your sovereign? Is it him or me? And then so everyone says, Your Majesty, please be appeased. And I just wanted to share with you all, because we hear it a lot in ancient Chinese sea dramas when they're like, Xin Nu. I can't remember if they're like Huangdi Xin Nu or something else, but Your Majesty, Xin Nu. Calm your anger. Please be appeased. I just thought I'd share that with y'all. So anyway, we go on, and he's like, every single time a calamity comes, my bro is there to help me. Okay, and we've averted a whole nother disaster. Y'all not gonna tell me that I can't elevate him to this position. So of course we get to the point where now, hold on. Yes, Wei Huaigu, who wanted to impeach Xiao Chiyet, ends up changing his tune and going along with the emperor, like, yeah, you're right. But he does give him a little bit of advice. He's like, how about you elevate him to Earl first, as to not disappoint the generals on the frontier? But Li Jianheng is just like, no, how about we elevate the Earl of Biansha to Marquis so that I can still elevate, what's his name, Xiao Chiyet to Marquis. And it's just like, this is not going to be a good idea. Anyway, some of the officials agree because they're just like, okay, whatever Your Majesty wants, but Kong Chu is like, no. So then We move on. Li Tianheng is getting worked up and even lashes out at Hai Liangyi. Hai Liangyi, of all people. And he sticks to his guns. And eventually, the imperial edict is sent out for Lu Pingyan to be elevated to marquis, but only to have his excuse, right? Lu Guangbai is going to be coming, bringing his father to the capital to get all of this. And of course, his dad is confused, like, why am I just suddenly getting elevated? Like, what are we doing? Meanwhile, Xiao Chuye, who gets this edict, it's Fu Man, the eunuch Fu Man that delivers it, he is not happy about this. Not happy about this at all. And he even goes as far as to tell him, yeah, I don't want that. Send that back. Because regardless of merits, he has not been to war. Getting elevated to marquis would be an embarrassment. It's clear, like, you're getting elevated to a title you don't deserve, that you didn't even work for, that you didn't even get based on the qualifications that you're supposed to have to get it. It's a form of disrespect, and so he sees that the emperor as giving him this title to keep him held down in Chengdu, because Dingdu stabilizing the capital where he is stuck, where he has been stuck. So he's just like, absolutely not. Take this shit back. Then we move on to the next chapter, conferment. Ooh, where Fu Man goes to tell the emperor that he doesn't want to accept it. And so he's like, well, you go back and tell him he better accept it. So he goes back and then he's like, I'm not going to accept it. You tell the emperor I'm not going to accept it. He kneels. And so then the emperor was like, well, fine. Let him kneel then. I'm so upset. Why is he making such a big deal out of this? Wah, wah, wah. So then Xiao Chuye would not budge. And the Lu clan, what we learn, is not as high as the Qi clan with Qi Juyin, Qi Shiyu, or the Xiao clan. So him accepting this title would be a slight to Lu Pingyan, who's been working diligently for so much time, yet has not received a single reward for his diligence, for what he has done. Then we get to page 370, where we learn that the food and clothing expenditures of the 20,000 troops of Bianjuan were all under the imperial court's control, of course, because they have no military fields, right? And they wouldn't have to be forced to beg for their stuff. They wouldn't have to sell off their heirlooms and their family property if the government would just give them their crops, give them their provisions, give them their money. And that's just so sad that they are fighting the hardest when it comes to the Qi clan, the Xiao clan, where they live, where they are situated. They have the hardest time, the hardest battles, because they're at the Chasha River runs thin where they live, and that's one of their greatest barriers, one of their greatest forms of protection for the empire. But they're not getting what they need. So we have these Benjuan soldiers who have fought so hard, yet are given so little for their service, and it's terrible. Then we also have Xiao Chuye, who is again stuck in Chengdu as a leash to the Xiao clan because they're so powerful. They could overthrow the throne if they wanted to, and we know that's what every emperor is worried about when it concerns their generals, right? So he's the leash, and we do have that, at least even for Qi Juyin, she was given a title, due to her connections with the Xiao clan. And sorry, I meant to say her father, Qi Juyin's father, because of his connections. Meanwhile, the ones who have the hardest job get the smallest reward. And this is to keep them from becoming just as powerful as the Xiao clan. Because instead of just treating our generals and their soldiers good, so that hopefully, more than likely, they would not have thoughts of betrayal, let's just treat them badly and possibly one day push them to that point. So we move forward, and one second. Where did I leave off? Okay, yeah, him accepting this title just happily would be such a slight. Like he's got to put in some effort to be upset about it, essentially. So he is doing so. He's not accepting it. He's not moving forward with it. And he's also thinking about the friendship and the loss of support that the Xiao clan would get if he just readily accepted this new title. So eventually he is summoned to the palace, though, right? And he kneels. And what happens? He kneels for a long time because somebody has decided that they just want to go into La La Land and be thinking about whatever they're thinking about and not considering the fact that someone has been kneeling forever. So when I tell y'all a chapter that has probably the most notes, it's going to be, this is one of them. Because not only did I have some of the notes on here from like the halfway point, I just want to show y'all really quickly. So this chapter, it has, hold on. Notes here. Okay. Wait. Some more notes. Some more notes. More notes. This was an intense chapter, and I've been waiting to talk to y'all about this chapter. But we are here now. So let me go. So we have it where finally it says on page 372. Let me read some comments really quick. Emperor is worried they'll overthrow him, but denying them the pay and respect, pretty much guaranteed to make them rebel. Exactly. The ultimate Mobius loop of plot generals and emperors. Yep. Yeah, but then again, he's a bit oblivious in all this situation. Yep. Good organization. Yeah, but so to me, obliviousness is no longer an excuse. And the reason I say it is not an excuse is because he has advisors. Those advisors are there for a reason. And he's not listening to no, but he's also not listening to, okay, not this, but this instead. Meanwhile, one of the things that Shi Hongxuan had said to him when they were underneath the Ohua Pavilion was that he said, aren't you not the emperor? Don't you have the final say in things? But don't you also have people in your corner to advise you? I wish I could go to that exact spot. Collapse. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can find it really quickly. Says Shi Hongxuan would, oopsie, it's not on, hold on. Family background, nurse, Pope, Shi Hongxuan cried, all my life, Your Majesty, Imperial Court, you are the one who acknowledged by all the people in the world. They can, yep. Let them put up their blades. The scholars provide answers. Yeah, when it comes to matters of learning, the scholars of the Imperial College will provide the answers. As for government affairs, isn't that what the Grand Secretariat is for? Does it not exist to advise you? So he definitely woke up a different man, but he forgot about that part. These people are here to advise you for a reason. So anyway, that's why I say his ignorance is no longer, it's not an excuse. Because you have people who know, who are advising you. And, you know. So going to page 372, it says that it's late. And the cold water that remained on the freshly scrubbed floor dampened Xiao Chiyeh's robe while he was kneeling outside of the room. Meanwhile, Li Jianheng is just staring blankly at a lamp. And it's, you didn't summon this guy here, but you got him kneeling forever outside of the room or whatever, waiting for you to summon him into the room or for you to come out and tell him that he can get up. So automatically, which I get it. Again, it's a lot of stuff going around, a lot of stuff that has happened. And so he's in La La Land, but you have your supposed friend kneeling in an uncomfortable position forever, even though you summoned him here. So you're just making him wait there, right? So we get to a point where he finally comes out and he's like, there's no one else here. Let's talk. In other words, we can be honest. No one's listening. You don't have to put up any airs or anything. So one of the things that he says, because he's like, I don't remember you being this worried. Why are you being so tame, Xiao Chuye? Weren't you so bold and carefree and everything? And then he's like, it's incompatible with reason and intolerable under the law for you to give me this position. And so Li Jianheng goes on to say, before the Nanling hunting grounds, we were good brothers who would risk our lives for each other. After that incident, we became sovereign and minister, separated by an impassable rift. Su'an, isn't it a good thing for me to be the emperor and you to be the supreme commander? Why do you put up a front with me? Just accept the rewards you're given. Cowering like this is unlike you. So here's the thing that I want to talk about. And that is, he's been wondering, even in their last conversation, he was like, how did we get to this? There is now an imbalance of power. So this relationship that you used to have with each other, when even though you were royalty, but you didn't have any important position, you could just live the life you wanted. All of that has gone down the drain because you now have the power to dictate his life. You hold his life in your hands. You hold his family's life, his soldiers' lives in your hands. So like that simple relationship that you all had before, when you became emperor, that is something that has automatically just almost completely squashed it, if you will. But then I also highlighted, just accept the rewards you're given. Again, and you wonder why your relationship is not the same. The imbalance of power. Here we have a moment of you trying to use that power against Xiao Chuye. Because I'm sorry, what friend would tell another friend if they're saying, hey, I don't want this gift that you have given to me, or I don't like this gift? What true friend would say, just accept the rewards you're given? That's not how we respond to our friends, but you're using your emperor status to try to force this on him. And then we go on even more, and he was like, honestly, if you would have just given me the gold and jewels, like I would have been fine. I would have kowtowed and given my thanks, but I don't want it, this noble rank that you were trying to give to me. And he was like, I have not made notable achievements to receive this. I feel uneasy about it, and I appreciate the kindness, but this ain't the right reward for me. And so Jianheng says, what is there to be uneasy about? Given our relationship, you should have been conferred a title a long time ago. So now we have this situation in which the emperor is not being a good friend. He keeps harping on Xiao Chuye for not being a good friend. Meanwhile, he is not being a good friend either. You're mad because he's not speaking straight with you. But here it is then, in a moment where he's speaking straight with you. He's just not giving you all of the details. He feels uneasy about this. And instead of listening to his concerns and being like, okay, right, let's talk this out, you're like, what's there to be uneasy about? Why are you uncomfortable? Because of our relationship, you should have received the reward a long time ago. But relationships are irrelevant. This is about politics. And I know that depending on the relationships you do have, yes, you can be elevated, yes, unfairly. And that's the problem. You're trying to give him a position that he has not yet earned, and you're not listening to him. You're trying to give him a gift that he does not want. Like, what are we doing here? So again, this whole imbalance of power thing, harping on him, but you're not looking at yourself. And I think that's the thing that was just like making me really, really upset about all of this. And I get the emperor's perspective. I think we've already talked on it before. So I'm just like, I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong, but I'm putting it out there that in this moment, the emperor, he's not my favorite person. So then it points out on page 375. So I'm pointing it out because it stood out to me. This whole time that they have been talking, these friends, where he's wondering how they got to this point, that are talking to each other, he didn't tell Xiao Chuye to rise. So this whole time, you have been talking to your friend, making him kneel before you on the cold ground, cold and wet floor, because you're the emperor and it feels good to look down to someone. And everyone knows, well, let me not say everyone knows. A lot of people know that when you're having conversations with people, whether you are of the same age, but as long as your ranking is different, the higher up someone sits, the more intimidating they are. That's not necessarily something that he would know, but I'm just saying that in general. So, like when parents have conversations with their children, if the child is in trouble and like sitting and the parent is standing, it's more intimidating. You're having to look up to someone that's like, psychologically it works that way. Anyone who is higher literally than you is more intimidating. So in certain situations, a lot of people will sit if you're sitting and they're going to talk about these things so that you're on eye level with each other, so that it's like you're equal even if you're not of equal position. But here it is, your friend that you've been talking to this whole time is still kneeling. You're the one that said on the opening of the chapter, not the opening, a couple pages in, there's no one here, let's talk, let's just be straight with each other, let's be bros, let's chat. Why didn't you tell him to get up then? You should have told him to get up. Also, I've just been here ranting the whole time and not looking at you guys' comments, so let me do that. No longer equals. Yes, you can't have that back. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. All power imbalance relationships are precarious. Yes. Let's not forget, though, that Xiao Chuye was not 100% honest in his friendship with. Yeah, I know that. We've already talked about that before. He was trying to further his own cause as well by following him. And you know what? I get it. But at the same time, Xiao Chuye has not done anything to hurt the emperor. Like, I get it. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that my friend could be this type of person that he was in the non-lane hunting grounds. Sure. But I don't know. Personally speaking, I get the upsetness, but at the same time, I don't think that Xiao Chuye was required to tell him any of that. But at the end of the day, regardless of this, that has nothing to do, in my personal opinion, with the current predicament. You know, it's one of those things where he's already been given seeds of doubt by the Xianda emperor. That's one of the biggest problems, that he got the seeds of doubt. So then he started piecing things together that didn't even need to be pieced together. So I'm not forgetting about that. I'm not saying necessarily that it's completely irrelevant, but at the end of the day, it's just an excuse. you know, Sometimes as friends, you just have to get over some things. They've already had their talk, and it just is what it is. Like, you have to go forward now with the knowledge that Xiao Chuye is a lot more cunning than you think. But as long as, like, honestly, even though they're friends, at the end of the day, before the power imbalance, Li Jianheng was still from the royal family. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even with the way things were before, when the Xianda emperor was around, that to a degree, Xiao Chuye felt like, I'm not necessarily going to share everything with him, you know? So that's just my personal opinion. We don't know that because we didn't really get Xiao Chuye's thoughts in that moment. But at the end of the day, it's a member of the royal family. And even though Xiao Chuye was not honest about the I don't even know what that means actually, now that I think about it, because when did Xiao Chuye lie to him? And I know some people like to say, oh, it's a lie of omission, but I'm a words person. I know sometimes I still mess things up. But a lie is when you tell something that is false. Omitting something is omitting something. And to me, it's not the same. So I don't think he lied about anything. But accepting promotion, um, you can no longer be buddy buddy with your former coworkers. Yeah, you can't because now you're above them. And again, just going back to Stephanie's comment, so again, it's all connected, but at the same time, like I said, this is about a promotion that the man don't want. And it's still just like you're trying to force something on him that he doesn't want. I'm not sure he would have saved him at the hunting grounds if he didn't expect him to get rewarded with being allowed to get home. We don't know. So I don't speculate on those things. It's, yeah. I don't have information from Tang Jiu Qing because they ain't write it in there, so I'm not going to speculate. Honestly, I personally believe that he would have still saved him. Um, so I just don't know. You said he can be shrewd. Where did it go? He can be shrewd as well. He wasn't honest about friendship to begin with. Emperor is a little sad pawn. Wah, wah, wah. I think Xiao Chuya hasn't been honest with anyone, right? I don't think it's the fact that he hasn't been honest with anyone, it's that he hasn't been forthcoming. So there was a portion that said that people knew, that he liked drinks, he liked wine. But when they really thought about it, they didn't know which wine he liked. People knew that he liked to sleep around or whatever, but they didn't actually know what his type was. So it's one of those things where he just kept a level of discretion about himself and just had a lot of vague generics out there for people, but he didn't share that vital or that really intimate information to answer your question. So I don't think it's about honesty or dishonesty. It's more so about he did not share parts of himself with people. And unfortunately, one of those people he did not share a part of himself with was his friend Li Jianheng, which hurts. Yes, definitely hurts. But I wouldn't call it a lie. Um, One thing you love about QJJ is you saw the plot from a different perspective. You have a whole lot of other Don Mays. Yes, that would be quite interesting. Oh, yeah, that would be very interesting to see QJJ in multiple perspectives. Oh my gosh. Most of all, with Shanta Chen, he said he's too innocent to understand that their friendship is based on, give and take. Yeah, yeah, but he can. I would not appreciate having a friend like either of them. Yeah, absolutely not. I would not want Xiao Chuye as a friend when it comes to the way that he treated Li Jianheng as far as hiding a part of himself. I also would not want a friend like Li Jianheng who now has authority over me and pushes that authority. Like, okay, let's hold on. He was not aware of it before. He is starting to realize that their friendship was not the same. Him being naive, believing that Xiao Chuya has no hidden agenda. And so I think the issue is Xiao Chuya may have his own hidden agenda, but he doesn't have a hidden agenda against Li Jianheng. And I think that's the issue because now that Li Jianheng has seen a different side of him, he's automatically, like I said, putting those pieces together and it's like, oh, your agenda must be somehow against me. But that's not the case. The guy is a part of a war family. They are constantly thinking of strategies and all these kinds of things. So it's not necessarily that he's scheming and plotting against you. Like, there everybody has their bottom line. Um, like people who scheme and do awful things, they have people that they wouldn't do those things to, believe it or not. Even though we believe, oh, if they'll do it to these people over here, they'll do it to those people over there. They have their group of people that they won't do it to. Not saying that that would provide any comfort to Li Jianheng, but I am just saying that, even if he has a hidden agenda, that does not have to mean that he has one against you. So he's just a bit wary of spoilers. um, he's definitely not properly shrewd for who he is, unfortunately. For me, it is more of a mask or persona than discretion. It is very deliberate that he did so people would underestimate him. Well, yes, I agree with that statement. Absolutely. Oops. Hold on. I would say definitely that it is a mask, but I also still think that a part of it has to do with discretion, because for sure he doesn't want people to know about the things that he cares about the most. We already read all of that because he doesn't want people to be able to use it against him, but that doesn't mean that it can't be both. But definitely it was a mask. Definitely a mask. Um, he was definitely undercover. I agree. Definitely intentional. It was a veil of protection. Exactly. The man felt like he had to protect himself. And I think that's also the thing that Li Jianheng has not considered. Like, yes, you're considering how this, the Xiao clan and everybody could scheme against you because they definitely can. But you also have to think about the fact that they also feel like they have to protect themselves. So that's why they've taken certain action. It's such a back and forth thing. That's why I say nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Although certain actions that people make may be wrong in certain moments, but there is no one person in this situation that is 100% right or 100% wrong. And I really love the nuance of all of this because there are arguments for both of them. And it's so awesome. Now the emperor knows how dangerous it would be if Xiao Chuye gets turned against him. Yeah. And you can't unsee that, true, which is what we're going to continue to talk about on one of these pages once I finish the comments. If a cute little puppy bites you and you realize it becomes a dog that can hurt you. Yeah. But the thing is, a cute little puppy bites you, you realize it can become a dog that hurts you. But I hate to put it this way, but you mentioned dogs, so we're going with it. Dogs are loyal creatures. If you treat them right, they treat you right. Shoot, there are even dogs who have been in situations where their owners have abused them and they still cower, like they don't retaliate, and then they're the ones who absolutely do retaliate. So treat them well. I mean, treat them well. So again, back to page 375, now that I'm caught up on comments. This whole time while they're talking, he doesn't let his friend get off his knees. And he uses the excuse, which is it's a valid excuse, but I'm an emperor. I can't renege what I just put out there. So like, you're going to have to take it because I already said it. And I'm the emperor. I'm prideful because all emperors are prideful and they've put something out there. You can't rescind your word because that makes you look, you know, to the people. So then, where does it say? Neither of us will look good if, in this situation. So like, can you please take it? Deal? He says, what deal? But then Xiao Chuye says, Your Majesty, that won't do. The annual review is around the corner. It's a good thing to elevate old General Lu's noble rank. He deserves it, but not me. It's for the sake of Your Majesty's own reputation that I haven't accepted. I believe this is falsehood sprinkled with truth. I know, I believe his statement right here is 100% true, but I believe he's just left out the parts about himself, which we do get to. But saying that it's for your sake, that your reputation that I haven't accepted. I do believe that also it's true that for His Majesty's like reputation, he shouldn't accept it because like everyone will look at Li Jianheng like he's a very incompetent emperor. However, we know that's not what Xiao Chuya is thinking about. Let's be real. Let's be real. So, no one would take him seriously if he's just handing out these rewards like they're pieces of candy. That's not how the world operates. But I do like in this moment where Jian Heng is like, are these excuses for my sake or are they for the sake of the Xiao clan? Like, do you really think I don't understand just because you didn't say it? We're brothers who should treat each other with sincerity, yet you treat me like a fool. I rewarded you because of friendship, but you turn it down out of self interest. I told you to be candid with me, but you're still beating around the bush. Where's your conscience? And so at that moment, I was just kind of like, I mean, yeah, you were not thinking about His Majesty's reputation. You were thinking about the Xiao clan. And I think that was a moment that he could have been honest and said, like, I need to consider my family and our clan and our soldiers. I can't accept this. Like, this would look very, very bad for us. But he chose to word it for, like, Your Majesty. And so, again, we're in this situation of with Xiao Chuya because we're not in his head. If anything, we get more of Li Jianheng's thoughts and stuff. But to me, it's like, is this a situation where he's just deliberately lying to Li Jianheng because, just lie to him? Or is this a scenario in which Xiao Chuya is still trying to protect himself? Again, a lot of us are thinking, oh, he's clever, he's cunning, he showed a different side of himself. So everything that Xiao Chuya has done is very intentional. Yes, but what are all of those intentions? Because he's probably already known from a while back that their relationship can no longer be the same. And so in this instant, was he saying what he thought he was supposed to say, or was he just straight up lying just because? That is where my question is. Don't know. It is what it is. All I can say is what does my note here say? Yes. When he was like, I rewarded you out of our friendship, but you turned it down out of your own interest. Here, I just say again, even if that is the case, even if you rewarded him out of friendship, the friendship is basically poop now because you want to reward him how you see fit, despite knowing that he doesn't want the gift. Be mad that he won't say it, but you are no better. And so here's the thing. I know some people are going to, from this comment, he was lying. Even now, he's not being honest. But here's the thing. Li Jianheng said, do you think I don't know why you're turning it down? So he at least has the smarts to know exactly why Xiao Chuya is turning it down, yet still fighting to have his way anyway. Sometimes is it good? Not necessarily, but sometimes we are going to find ourselves in positions where a person may not want to be forthcoming about something. Does it suck? Yes. What are the reasons? There are a plethora of them. But here it is, we have in a moment, Xiao Chuya does not want to be forthcoming, but his friend, the emperor, knows exactly why he doesn't want to accept it, but still pushing his case. So I don't like this. You know why I don't like this. But you're like, then what are we doing? Before we even started this conversation, you already had your thoughts in your la la land. You knew exactly why I wasn't accepting this, yet you told me to just take the reward that I'm given. Okay. So anyway, moving forward. On page 376, QJJ makes you understand all characters in one parallel has with Game of Thrones. Never watched Game of Thrones. You think he's smart and being strategic. If no one knows your preferences and what you love, you're less vulnerable for exploitation. Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things where, actually, I won't say anything. Yeah. The emperor isn't savvy enough to know how to train tools. Oh my gosh. It's one of those moments then, don't try to train the tool. Just like be good to the tool. Wipe it down, clean it when it gets a little dusty. Oh my gosh. Mm. He never really grew up, has a childlike mentality. I've honestly been comparing this series in my head to early days of GOT. There are so many parallels. Again, never seen Game of Thrones. I have no interest in watching Game of Thrones, so I'm not going to know these parallels, but I'm glad y'all are seeing them. Ah. Mm-hmm. And and that book, I also have not read those. Yes. So then we get to page, too many notes on this one chapter, 376, where I have it, Li Jianheng viewed Xiao Chuye as a brother before all of this happened. And of course, yeah, that was from page 372, where he said he viewed them as a brother. So, dang. Yes, here we are. At some point, it's mentioned that old people are inflexible. All of the old nobles are inflexible to having changes made. And Li Jianheng, really wants to change everything up. And here's my thing, which of course he doesn't know this. That's okay. But when there are a lot of old nobles running things, you can't just throw so many changes at them and big changes at them just so abruptly, which is the issue that we're coming into now. If you want to make this change to where the marquis can be rewarded to someone who is not a war veteran, maybe change some smaller things first. This is a huge thing. So you just have to be more mindful, because doing something like this offends the people that are fighting for your country, for fighting for Great Joe. So it's not even just about Xiao Chuye refusing this anymore. This is, you are going to offend people by making such a big change. So it's like you got to ease old people into some changes. Don't get me wrong, some things do need to just be instantly done, and it just is what it is, okay? But some matters, you got to ease your way into it. And this is a big matter that offends a lot of people. This ain't the one. Okay, this ain't the thing to try to just make those changes. So again, I understand Li Jianheng's upsetness with people thinking that like he was careless in his decision making, because he really did take a lot of time to think about it. um I think he made a thought out but naive decision. That's what I would say. And so da, 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 da. Yeah, all right. So then we have eventually Xiao Chuye gets up, because Li Jianheng just said, all of you are wolves and tigers. So he's just put Xiao Chuye in the game with everyone. And Xiao Chuye gets up, and Li Jianheng is terrified. It says he stumbled back a few steps and looked at him, badly shaken. He was scared, okay? But at this point, Xiao Chuye is pissed off. And he says, everything your majesty has said is an affront to the Xiao and Lu clan's loyalty. Because, Li Jianheng is just like, you're just doing all of this for you. You're all wolves and everything. You're colluding with each other. What comes next, huh? Tell us what you're going to do. And at this point, Xiao Chuye is like, okay, I get you're upset because you didn't know that I had this side of me, but I'm gonna need you to not be disrespectful to literally everybody and everything that we have done for you, all of the effort that we have put into protecting Great Joe, and reduce it to us just trying to get power. And what are we gonna do? Overthrow the throne? So he's like, I get you upset, but you escalating this a little bit too much, and you're putting a dampener on the sacrifices that we have made, and I'm not here for it. So I understood. I was like, bro, I feel you. And so of course, the emperor is like, more excuses. You're only doing this for your own untainted reputation. And I'm like, okay, valid excuse. All right. This is a valid excuse for him to have. He doesn't want to have an untainted, he doesn't want to have a tainted reputation. What is wrong with that? Since you know this, let's not harp anymore on the fact that he refuses to say it. What's wrong with him not wanting to be looked down upon by everybody? Because if you give him this title, that is exactly what's going to happen. He is not going to have any respect from anyone. So I was just like, sir, you are doing a fine job right now of this whole thing. Yep, great. So then we move forward, and he says, Your Majesty may not trust me, but don't you trust Hai Liang Yi? And so I drew an arrow on my page to go back to the part where Jian Heng stumbled a few steps back, looked at him badly shaken, and I said, yeah, it's impossible to be friends with someone that you no longer trust. It's impossible to be friends with someone that you fear. And this is, hi. How's it going? It's going good. You look nice. Oh, it's the campfire thing, isn't it? The bonfire? Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess I won't be able to go to that.
It's all fine. I forgot when it was. I'm about to be late. But I'll catch you later.
Oh, okay. Love you.
No, you too.
Nice haircut.
Thank you.
Very nice. Did you do the spongy thing was done?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yep. So I'll do tomorrow too. We'll leave this open or no?
Oh, you can leave it open. You look very nice.
Thank you.
Sorry, you guys. Where was I? Yes. It is impossible to be friends with someone that you don't trust and someone that you fear. Husband cameo. Yes. Let's see. QJJ is much more streamlined and easier to digest. I digested it. QJJ is similar to Stars of Chaos. Ooh, I much prefer QJJ over Stars, though. But yes, in some ways, it is very similar. Absolutely. So, I feel like this is the last thing I have to say. I'm on my way to being done with this chapter. So, anyway, he's like, you don't trust me, but do you not trust Hai Liang Yi? The advisor, that you have appointed by the emperor, who has rescued come to the emperor's rescue thrice. Not one time, not 2 times, 3 times this man has come to your rescue. He advised you against this, and you refused to listen. And in fact, even splashed out at him, spoke out against him. Like, come on, my guy. So he's just like, you have repeatedly met with danger and misfortune, and immediately after, you dish out disproportionate rewards. Whoever it is that's instigating your majesty ought to have his head struck from his shoulders. And I was very happy because at least in this moment, I felt like, even if it wasn't necessarily about himself, that Xiao Chuye was being honest with him. He was being upfront and completely open with him just about how he feels. Not necessarily, no, not how he feels, but he was talking to him like he should a friend, if you will, I would say. Like, when you are, like, for real, I would talk to my friend like this, like, okay, fine. You got a problem with what I did? Or you got a problem with me? What about this guy? And I love it. He's like, bruh, you have been... You have met danger so many times, and every time you get out of it, you just willy-nilly throwing out rewards like you don't know nothing. I mean, you don't, but you throwing out these rewards like you don't know anything. And I was just like, you better advise the emperor since he's not listening to anyone else. So I felt like from the moment that he got up, even though they were still like arguing with each other, if you will, I felt like this was a turning point in their conversation, right? That he was actually going ahead and advising the emperor. He's like, look, grant full amnesty and reward to the frontier generals, as well as rewards to the Lu clan with the increase of military provisions, okay? He's like, plus, Jueshi had a bumper harvest, which means an unusually large harvest, and could use the gift of, grain, and you could save on monetary rewards, okay, for the Lu clan. Get the grain from Jueshi or whatever, send it over to them, and then you don't have to worry about giving them money. Since money seems to always be an issue for the government, give them grain because they really need grain. Okay, they need to eat to keep fighting for this freaking great Joe. And so then he's like, hand them out. So, oh, I said hand them out because they're long overdue. They're needed and wanted. This is the thing that the emperor needs to think about. This is something that they want, which he clearly wasn't picking up with Xiao Chuye, giving him something that he did not want. Give them something that they want, okay? And then he was like, even you can raise Third Lady Hua's status to commandery princess. Be better than the Xiande emperor, okay? The Xiande emperor was always ruled by the empress. Be better, my guy. So he gives his advisement, right? Give rewards that make sense. Okay. And I just absolutely loved this entire section because I was just like, this is what we need. You know, and even for the Shandu emperor, it was his greatest regret that he was under the Hua clan control, the Empress Dowager's control. And so he missed his opportunity to make his splash. He's like, Li Jianheng really wants to prove himself, especially since everyone sees him as unworthy. So he's like, bro, this is your chance. Do these things that I am telling you to do, okay? So then once he says that, which apparently he pushed all the right buttons, then suddenly Li Jianheng is delighted. And he's like, all right. After all this tenseness and everything. And I feel like he was probably delighted because he's like, finally, like I see you. You know, even though we're not talking about you, yourself, your goals and everything, you're speaking to me real, you know, which again it's a teeter-totter thing because it's the emperor. You want to speak with honesty, sure, but it's the emperor. So like you got to watch yourself. It's the emperor. You know, that's kind of like when your parents ask you, I don't know if anyone's parents do this. My mother used to do this at some point, but you know, ask me how I feel. Do I have something to say about what, you know, the situation, and go from there. It's kind of like, but because of the relationship and how precarious it was, I did not feel safe enough to tell her what I was really thinking or what I was really feeling when certain situations arose. But in this moment, Xiao Chuye is like, fuck it. Listen here, Jianheng. And Jianheng is very happy about this. He's like, finally, like, there you are. Okay, we'll do that. Ta'an, get up. Finally, you tell him to get up. The ground is cold. So you knew the ground was cold this whole time? Bad friend. That's why I say he can point the finger at Xiao Chuye all he wants, but he is a bad friend too. Pot calling the kettle black. So Fuman, the eunuch, he sees all of this and he's just like, wow. He handled that wonderfully. How did he just flip Jianheng around like that? Like, whoa. There was a disaster waiting to happen and he just flipped it around. That was a miracle. That was him splitting the Red Sea. Like, whoa. And of course, then in the end, he's like, oh, I need to be on the second young master's side because it'll be a good future for me. We have finally made it to the end of chapter 73. I told y'all my notes for that chapter were ridiculous. Because I had so much going on in my mind. Oh my gosh. Let me see. A wild hubby appears out of nowhere. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, his church is having a bonfire tonight, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna go or not, and I fully intended to potentially go, but I was like, gosh, I've got to work, then I've got to socialize at work, which I normally don't have to do, you know, to like starting a moderation session. Then I was like, and then I have this. I might be all socialed out, but you know, we'll see. I didn't realize it was, you know, well, I'm still here, so I couldn't go to the bonfire. So that is what it is. I probably did not need to go anyway. So, I love him so much. Xiao Chuye is good at people management and crisis management, and he has to be because he's going to be in so many situations. Like, oh my gosh. He has to be. He's got a finesse. He's got a finagle. Ah, his honesty is honestly so impressive. Yes, he's very impressive. He's so good at human. I need this on a shirt. He's so good at human. Megan. I think he is one of my favorite Danmei characters. He's up there. Yeah, he's up there for me too. We are getting to horse riding. So, chapter 74, Toast Exchange, and chapter 75, Night Ride. How am I going to do this? Yes, everybody go ahead and put a horse in the chat. Because we know what we're getting to. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Okay. So let's all put our horses. All right. I'm even putting the merry-go-round horse. Boom. So, I'm going to figure out, hold on, because again, another chapter with some notes, or another two chapters. Okay, so chapter 74, the second month of the year is an important time to go ahead and plant mulberry and hemp. The Ministry of Revenue rushed in submitting their allocation of funds because they are never prepared for anything. They suck. Then we have the conferment happens, the advice that was given. The conferment happens, and Chirye is officially known as now the Marquis of Ding Du, stabilizing the capital. But less abrasive now because proper rewards and everything were given out. Yes. Let's go with the horses. Yes. So, Shan Zichuan is now, he skipped a rank. He was fifth rank, but now he skipped fourth. It was like go straight to third, and he's the vice commander now. And he does the northern judge duties. So he had southern judge, which was over the embroidered uniform guard, no, over the military craftsman. Now he takes charge over the imperial prison. So of course it was opposed again, but as it was said before, who who can stop it from happening after everything? But even Sun Yu gave a recommendation of his own, glowing recommendation. And Sun Yu is the left censor in chief of Chief Surveillance Bureau, in case anyone needed to remember that. And the Chief Surveillance Bureau is responsible for maintaining disciplinary surveillance, checking judicial records, doing inspections, impeachment, recommending and changing old policies. So Shen Zichuan also had Hai Liang Yi, who had a new perspective on him, which I'm sure helped the emperor like solidify his. He was like, yes, absolutely, I want it. So then we have Xiao Chirye, who is carrying around that darn earring, but he doesn't have a chance to meet Shen Zichuan because Shen Zichuan is too busy. He's got the imperial prison duties. He's trying to get his Shifu and his Xiansheng back. How? We don't know just yet. So then later we have Sun Yu, who is hosting a feast. And remember, he said he would. When Shen Zichuan first came up with the idea, he was like, bro, when this is all over, I'm throwing a party and you coming. So that's where we are. He threw a party. And Shen Zichuan is coming. So he gets there, he sees Han Cheng, Kong Qiu, Xiao Chirye, Yu Xiaozai, all the gang is there, right? And he's trying to be courteous, but they're like, this is not the time and the place to be courteous. Like, this is not what we're about. Let's do something different. So Xiao Chirye is clearly a little drunk. He's 3 cups in. Lanzhou, where am I? Didn't say a word to him, though, when he sat down. So then everybody is like, whoa, y'all need to bury the hatchet. Like, what are we doing? Y'all can get it together now. And so where am I? They convince them to bury the hatchet, and then they're going to do a toast. And Xiao Chirye proposes that they do a nuptial toast, which is the linking of the arms, you guys know. And at first, people thought he was just kidding it around. And then he says, what? I can scarcely put into words how I love and respect him. Is this not meant to be an expression of our sincerity? You what? Chirye? You love and respect him? Just throw it out there like that. So eventually, they're thinking, oh my gosh, he's still holding the grudge and is like trying to give Shunzi Chuan a hard time. But Shunzi Chuan is like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So they do it. A nuptial toast. Look at their faces. Look at Banjo's face. Oh my gosh. And look at how short he is, that he is standing up and bending over a little. And Xiao is like, oh my gosh. You said Lanjo's was no good. Yeah, he just showing that wrist, that collarbone. So, hold on. Let me get back to my notes. Okay, yeah, so they do it. I already talked about the highlights, showed the picture. So then they mentioned that spring exams are coming soon, which is going to suck for the Ministry of Revenue. We've already established that the Ministry of Revenue sucks because they've waited to the last moment to do things. And they talk about sending Lanzhou to Zhongbo, which I had thought about like very early on. I just didn't say anything because I was like, I don't know. And he's like, no, I can't because I don't have enough qualifications. And so they're like, get more experience and then, you can do it. You can do great. So they go on to talk about these local lords in Zhongbo and how they're actually very cunning and conniving, and they keep two records, just like a certain Hua Xiqian we know about. And they show the fake records. They make sure that once they know that the special envoy is coming, that they get rid of all the refugees and everything to act like they don't exist. They get the envoy drunk and partying and all that stuff, and then send them on their way. That's how that works. So, but Xue Xiuzhou handled it well once. Anyway, moving forward, they decide to play a game. And this game is to compose paired couplets to match whatever cards they have. And couplets, these are going to be like in poetry. So when this game is getting started, Shunzi Chuan gets started in being naughty. Under the table, he's got his foot in places where it does not belong, but it absolutely belongs in those places. Yeah. He's letting his foot travel up from, the ankle and up and up and up and up. But in the midst of this, we have this game going on. And Han Chung gets flowers and plants. So he gets cards with flowers and plants, and he ends up going with the swallow teases the foxtail. Spring arrives. Those are the couplets. Spring arrives being the second one. So I wanted to give you all a little bit of my research. Wait, come on. What? Okay, my research. A swallow, which is a bird, it might be referred to in some cases as a sparrow, but it represents in China, in Chinese culture, you're here. What's up? Yo, we're almost done. So a swallow represents feminine beauty and grace. Sounds like someone we know. Anyway, let's keep going. Foxes, which in Chinese history, the nine-tailed fox is one thing that's very, very popular. But anyway, foxes in general were seen as auspicious, especially when it came to the nine-tailed fox or fox spirits. In the 6th dynasty, they were seen as a good omen. Then when the Tang and Song dynasty came, they gradually became demonized, and they were seen as clever and malevolent tricksters. Once they turned 50, they could actually transform into a human, and it was rumored that they would take advantage of and seduce humans for personal gain. And usually these fox spirit stories that we hear about are indeed women. So the next portion is, even though it was not as commonly heard of, male fox spirits were viewed as, well, just in general, they existed a lot as spirits, but as far as transforming into human, they were viewed as father figures and scholars and rarely sexualized. If a male fox spirit did want to seduce a woman, he would actually take the form of a parasite rather than a physical being, which would then discredit the woman and she would be claimed as insane because no one else could see, right? But she could. Yeah. So then, of course, we have this heteronormative society where women bad, men good, basically. Women are seductive temptresses and tricksters, while the men were father figures and teachers. Okay, so anyway, here we have delicate beauty, definitely Lanjo. In this moment, he is provoking Chirye. He is seducing Chirye. He is engaging in sly behavior under the table with Chirye. Also, since the epidemic, I do want to point out that they have definitely entered a new era because the next line is spring arrives. We all know that spring, honestly, in a lot of cultures, I have found that spring does represent new beginnings, growth, renewal. In this case, it could be also revitalizing chi. So the swallow, Lanjo, teases the foxtail. Spring arrives. So with them being in spring, they're the line, they're not necessarily in spring, but both of them have been promoted ever since the epidemic. But even in the epidemic, they grew closer together, and that was when Lanjo was sick, and that blossomed their relationship to where it is now. Yes, let's consume essence. Their relationship has blossomed. Spring arrives. And so, yes, I would also say that the level of teasing that Shanzi Chuan is doing is also something that is new. Spring arrives, because this deliberate teasing was not necessarily something that he did before. But this right here, this is blatant teasing. This physical teasing, oh, that's something new. So anyway, then we move forward and we get to when it's Xiao Chirye's turn, and he's like, ain't that a fox? So he goes on to say, a leaky roof meets a rainy night. A vixen whispers in my dream. Where to seek the tide of spring? In that drip drop lies the hint. Sorry, I made it dirty, as he says. So, yes, spring brings energy. So, yes, and vitality. I think I said those things, but yes. And it is considered mating season. Yes. So then, a leaky roof meets a rainy night. The way I interpreted that, things are going to get messy. If it's raining and it's leaking, well, the area below is going to get messy. But it's going to get messy. So, and it's nighttime, which we all know what happens at night. So then vixen is a female fox. Back to the fox. And where to seek the tides of spring, again, is talking about that rising passion. And then in that drip drop lies the hint. You can hear the noise of the water leaking through the roof. In that drip drop lies the hint. You can hear the mating. You can hear the love making. That's how I interpreted that. So then he says, I simply attract foxes. And they're like, vixens, spring tides, you've made this too crude. Like, what are you doing? And I was just like, yeah, I don't know what's happening under that table. And of course, we have, in that moment where after he made it dirty, Sun Yu actually dropped his card on the ground and Yu Xiaocai was going to pick it up. Lanzhou was trying to remove his foot and Xiao Chirye was like, nope, keep it right here in my grip and I'm going to mess around with your ankle. So he does that. Lovely. Then we get to the next chapter. Night Ride. Night Ride. So, I don't think there's much for me to say on this. Okay, Xiao Chirye then spills his wine onto Yu Xiaocai, who was going to go under the table to get the card, and Shen Zichuan ends up being the one to actually get the card. Then we have Shen Zichuan, who clearly likes the sound of Xiao Chirye's laugh, by the way, just throwing that out there. Kongqiu was whipped into shape because he apparently could have been a very yee character, but he was whipped into shape by Hai Liang Yi. So then I have a note apparently. I'm gonna go to it. I know y'all want to get to the point, but I'm gonna go to my note. Han Chung tells Lanzhou that he doesn't have to work so hard anymore because he was good to the military craftsmen and they remember goodness because Shun Zitran said the excuse he had more work to do, and Han Chung is like, hey, they'll remember you, they won't make things difficult for you, like you can just a little bit. Horses. So anyway, we move on. Sun Yu walks Lanzhou out, gives him some advice or whatever. Sorry, I might have said the wrong person. Anyway, yes, gives him his advice. And then we have on page 392, before they part ways, he says, Sun Yu says, the road is slippery on rainy nights. And it was just funny because I was like, leaky roof, where are you? Where's that leaky roof? The road is slippery on rainy nights. So I just thought that was funny. That was such an innocent thing he said, but my brain did not see it as innocent at all. And then we have Qiao Tianya and Lanzhou. They're walking together when suddenly Chirya gallops over and comes and swoops up Lanzhou. Qiao Tianya is soaked in the rain, the puddle that just got on him, and he's like, okay, I wanted to drink some Xiaojiu. Thanks. Now I'm all wet. Okay, sure. And then they are galloping towards the city gates to leave the city. Our brains are not braining properly when it counts. Look at this. Y'all, this is steamy. This is sexy. Oh, Snowcrest. My poor baby. But, I can't even feel sorry for him anymore because this is hot. They're getting it on the horse. Poor horse. But it's okay. They had not seen each other for 7 or 8 days. So they was thirsty, okay? Very, very thirsty. And we have it on, what? My note says L sex. On the page. That's hot. Yes. So while they are making their passionate rainy night leaky roof noise on this unfortunate horse, Xiao Chirya asks him if he's satisfied, and he's like, yep, just make sure you hit the right spot. And so Xiao Chirya's hand came up to stroke Shun Zitran's earlobe, fastening an object. And it was, of course, the earring. So without saying too much, I just said, okay, the wanting experience without being the wanting experience. That's all I'll leave it as. T-shirt with leaky roof noises. Look, I'll make the... Oh gosh. So once we get to the final page, we have where it says, with the waves of euphoria and everything, Shun Zitran, he gazed at Xiao Chirya with a conflicting blend of understanding and incomprehension. Like, he understands, but at the same time, he doesn't. And right now, he can't. Because what predicament are we in? This one. So, yeah. A warm spring day was bad news indeed. I think it was great news. So now we need to discuss the logistics. Okay. This is what we came here for. This whole session has been about the logistics of this one scene. We just had to talk about everything else before getting to that. But let's talk about the logistics. Now, we've been talking about them in our Discord. So, our good friend Megan talked to one of her friends, and first off, it's possible, but it's very risky. Okay, very very risky, especially if something goes the wrong way, some get broken. We ain't okay. But we've been informed on more information that she talked to her horse girlfriend and sums it up. Technically possible, but absolutely terrifying, dirty, very dangerous, and 100% do not recommend. um, yes, two friends. One friend for saying that, and then this other one. The exact quote from her was, technically, if the horse's neck was parallel with the ground, but it would be a lot of leg work on both counts. It was also it would also depend on the temperament of the horse. I wouldn't suggest it. It would be really gross, and loud noises and movement would probably scare the horse. Also, hair and dirt. Ew. So I think we could also get a shirt that says possible but terrifying and have a horse on it. And then we'll all know what we mean, right? Mm. So that is your education for today. Is it possible to do this? Yes, it is. Very possible. He said, shirt, shirt, shirt. Hold on. Look, let me write this down somewhere. Shirt ideas. So we have, what was the first shirt idea? Hold on. Leaky roof noises ensue. Oh my gosh. And then also, what did I just say? Possible, but terrifying. Oh my gosh. We're gonna get shirts made for those one of these days. Who wants a shirt? Horsehair gets everywhere. So that is all for this volume, which means we can finally read the summary for You Want a Shirt as Well? Okay. I have to figure out what we're gonna do because I don't want to just make a shirt with like the words on it. There would need to be some art on it so that we could have these, right? So I'll have to figure it out. Um, I loved this volume very, very much. And it's interesting because when I read volume one, 10 out of 10, hands down. Read volume two, 10 out of 10, hands down. I did a review on my favorite book read of the month of January. And you would think that I chose this one, but I actually chose book one because I felt like it was such an amazing introduction to the entire series, even though I loved this book more. But what I have to say about this one is that I absolutely love just how we move forward with the plot so beautifully. We get to see all of these things, political issues, and issues with the common people versus the nobles unraveling and unfolding, and seeing the dynamics shifting between many people, including our main characters. And I like how it's all easily digestible. Like, yes, we get the political stuff, and then we get some ha-has, we get some giggles, or we get sweet, tender moments with these two, or spicy moments with these two. And it just, I feel like we were being pushed and pulled gently, or we were rocking gently in a boat with the way that this was written. It just, it was very good. That's all I can say. So he said, possible but terrifying horse, yes. So I'm gonna love the start of this. Not my idea. Scroll up. Wait, how about this? Possible terrifying horse. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Pacing on all fronts. I said fonts. Pacing on all fronts. Yes, one rare series, each book better than the last. And I felt that way about Peerless too until we got to volume 5. But anyway, we are about to take a look at the front art, the book art for this one and read the summary. Tang Jiu Volume 3. Here's the book art. Okay, I'm going to zoom in to the top so you guys can see it better. And then go down a little bit. So we just got the end scene, but not really because there was no fan there. But that's just how I feel. Those are the vibes I'm picking up. Anyway, it was NFS who suggested it with the horse emoji. Cool, cool, cool. So then we have this little, which by the way, I even like this. We have this Ballad of Sword and Wine, which looks really, really cool. And this kind of drop down thing is in all of the books so far. I don't have volume 1, but we see the drop down here. And we do have the drop down behind them. You can see it there. There it is. Really cool. So then it's a swallow. Oh, the birds. Yes. This fan is great. Snowcrest looks great. Everything looks great. Why does it look red at the bottom though? Is that blood? Hold up. Hold up. All right, now let's see the full picture of the front cover. Hold on. We're just not much else happening on the other page. Move. But that's the full thing. Can y'all see? Yes, okay. Then we do have a new map. I will be giving that to y'all when it's needed, but more things input. And then last but not least, this. All I have to say, I don't know who this is. Hold up. But he can talk to me anytime he wants. Who is this? We don't know who it is, but it's on the front. And I'm excited to know. Don't say it if you know. Yes, not telling, because I will slap you. But oh my gosh. Who is this man? He's hot. So that's all we got. Going to the summary. Desperate measures. After all, sorry, I can't read. After a close call with a deadly epidemic and an attempt on the emperor's life, the imperial court of Chudu is in turmoil. The emperor is determined to hold someone among the noble clans accountable, a desire Shan Zichuan and Xiao Cheye are prepared to use to their political advantage. The chaos gives them another opportunity as well, a chance to investigate the suspected mastermind behind the fall of Zhongbo 5 years ago. Yet as they delve deeper into the past, new dangers emerge in the present. For every move they make, their unseen adversary seems always a step ahead, driving them into a trap from which there is no way out. As Shan Zichuan and Xiao Cheye's lives grow more and more entwined, both find they are increasingly reliant on each other. But when Xiao Cheye extends a hand in their most desperate hour, will Shan Zichuan take it? Don't do that to me. Yes, he will take it. That's a good summary. Sigh. I retracted it, but it ain't a spoiler. Okay, well, I appreciate it. So excited. So remember, we are starting this volume together live. This is not just Patreon. This is Patreon and YouTube this Sunday at 11 a.m. I am, well, after this session, I'm going to lay down a minute, but I am going to make the session so that you guys can, click notify me on YouTube. But we are reading chapters, I believe it's going to be 76 through 78 together, or 76 through 79. Haven't figured that out yet. But the point is, we're reading live together. I've been waiting for this. We have 397 pages in this one. So that's literally one more than this one. Hopefully, we can finish it within the same time. I'm very excited about it. I also still need to read this over the weekend. So, how y'all feeling? Between book 1 and 2, which ones would you guys say is your favorite? You're so pumped. Does anyone know when volume 8 is coming out? I only know when volume 7 is coming out, but I will check really quickly to see if 7 Seas has put when volume 8 will come out. Yes, it's 8 volumes long. Release calendar. They probably won't have it on here yet. Hold on, because yeah, I thought so. They didn't have it on here yet. It's volume 7. Yeah, it comes out April 14th. We don't know yet when they're releasing. They've changed their release calendar. I think if they used to have all of the dates from the very first time they published on May and would go so out far into the future, but now they only give us a few months of their plans. So like their calendar, it's from February to June. So that's as far as we got. Considering that they will be releasing book 7 in April, August is what I would say they're probably aiming for to release the final book. We shall see. So, of course, the goal is to read book 3 and book 4 for February, but book 5, book 6 for March, but probably a little slower in March because it's just a really busy schedule for me. So getting through book 5 and book 6 might take up until the time book 7 releases. So I might just do that anyway regardless once I get to those two, pace out the releases. That way there is no break, not even a week or two break that we have to wait for book 7. And then after that, the only book that we'll be waiting for is book 8. And some of their books are a little weird as far as when they release, but its standard is 4-month increments. A couple of them have been 3-month increments or sometimes 4 and 3. So yeah, if they released in April, then we can expect something in maybe mid-August to late August, early September. Let's see. They announced the sword named No Way Out 2 days ago. Yeah, I saw they announced several things. They even announced an Omegaverse Danmei, which I've never read an Omegaverse Danmei. Super excited about that. I was like, I might actually take a look at that one. Both are fantastic. You can't pick with QJJ. I see it as one big book, and it's all amazeballs. Looking forward to that. So true. It is one story. It is one story. It's one of my favorite scenes. Man, I still don't know what a favorite scene for me would be. It's just all so good. I think that's the problem that I'm having as far as picking a favorite scene. Everything is so good. It's hard. But I think at this current moment, if I had to pick a favorite scene, it would be the scene between Xiao Chiye and Li Jianheng, which is weird. I mean, I wrote so many notes. I had a lot to say about it. I felt like that scene between that whole chapter was just so intense. So that would probably be my favorite chapter from volume 2. Yeah. Just so much going on in that. Oh man. You said the Omega verse Dawn May summary sounds good. What was it called again? I'll look at it. I don't yeah, what was the name of that one? Cuz I didn't even see the summary or anything. I just, saw their video. It's the reason why you don't usually start reading a series until it's almost all out. Yeah. Yeah, and that's usually how I operate too, but with my channel I kind of can't do that. If I wait for everything to finish, well, I would still have material to read, but it would be online, unpublished works, which I don't necessarily want to do because I don't want to be looking online for my job, be looking on the screen for when we do live sessions and stuff, and looking on the screen for when I'm reading. It's just too much screen time. So sometimes I'll throw in online books, like Devil Venerable. I read it off my iPad, but yeah, kind of can't wait. Uh, did anyone give me the name? Was it called Revenged Love? Transform Me. I was like, I didn't think so. Okay. Transform Me. Mark me. Yep, there we go. Okay, so we have Prince Osa has one major problem. His compatibility with Omegas is non existent. No matter how potent his pheromones, not a single Omega reacts. Damn, that's pretty sucky. Ling Yi, on the other hand, is a nobody with everything to lose. Dang, how is he a nobody and has everything to lose? A commoner alpha with perfect score at the military academy, he should have had a bright future. Until one fatal incident leaves him sentenced to death for manslaughter. His only chance at survival is an unthinkable bargain. Become Prince Osa's Omega. Did it just say he's an alpha? Well, I guess we see it. Anyway, yet the moment Ling Yi's pheromones transform, something goes violently off script. His scent doesn't just pass, it devastates, drawing every alpha in the empire to him like a signal flare. Prince Osa has finally gained his first Omega, and an entire empire of rivals willing to tear the world apart to claim him. Ooh, that's a lot. This isn't being published until next year. So I'm not going to get too excited about this because this is forever away. And then we're also going to have to wait for the releases. So now that I know that, my excitement levels have went down because it's so far away. I think this is why I don't get excited. I don't really look at their releases for new titles. I only look at the releases for the current titles because I'm like, y'all be announcing these releases y'all going to do. And they're a whole year from now. And that isn't even a year from now the entire story will be published. It's a year from now, just one volume will be published. So, okay, my excitement meter just went, yeah. So many of your favorite scenes were in volume 3. Well, I'm ready to get to it. We'd miss out on stickies and flaggies. With Revenge Love, I dislike the show, so I'm reluctant to read it. Yeah, I like very few modern things. Yeah, I'm not really big on the modern stuff as well, unless it's written really well. One second. You guys, my husband just sent me something that I have to show to you. I want it. Please. Oh, I'm gonna make this face. Look at what he just showed me. I guess at the bonfire that he's at. Whose empty bookshelf is this? Give it to me. Gaywa. I want it. Look at this. I need it. I crave it. I wish I could be there to negotiate. Where would I put it? I have no clue in this apartment, but like, it doesn't matter. Just let me have it. So, Anyway, it's not that I'm against modern danmei. I just haven't come across any modern danmei that I like, but I also haven't come across modern danmei much. Like the most modern things I've read are Guardian, which I did not like Guardian. I did not finish Guardian. Um Little Mushroom, which I did like, but the second book halfway through it got kind of too sciency for me. Um is there any other danmei that I've read that has been modern? I don't know. No, I don't think so. I have In the Dark, which I believe that's modern. I just haven't read it yet. I would like to read a modern danmei and actually like it, but I haven't come across any of that. And then when it comes to the ancient Chinese danmei and they and the extras go to the modern world, I typically don't like those extras. So we'll see. Someone recommend me a good modern danmei then. Um The closest to modern I like as genre is sidetrack worlds, fantasy or sci-fi like general extermination. I've never heard of that one. I've only heard of global examination, which I still unless that is the same thing and it's just multiple names. Um which hearing the sci-fi part, I'm kind of like, nope, never mind. Modern-ish. Okay. That is so sad. Oh wow. Poor bookshelf. Right. It's so neglected. Like, where are those books? And now he's just laughing at me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't get to come with you, love. Okay. What did I dislike about Guardian? You're contemplating reading it. Well, I'm still going to advise that you read it. So, the first thing that I didn't like about it was the pacing of things between the two main characters. I felt like there really wasn't any real chemistry there, and the moments where they had certain interactions, later in the book especially, it felt very forced. And I was like, whoa, like things just happened out of nowhere. And I was like, how did that escalate that quickly? I did read all of volume one. So everything I'm saying is just from volume one. But I was like, this escalated too quickly. Didn't really see the connection, the chemistry between the two characters. Like, I could clearly see that with one of the characters, there was something going on as far as what he knows or what he feels about the other character. But we didn't get anything from him. And then when things escalated, I was just kind of like, what happened? Why did we get here? The other thing I would say is more so having to do with the genre itself. I'm just not into the genre, which I know it was more like in the supernatural world. It's just crazy because I feel I like watching supernatural stuff. And yes, I know Guardian actually has a TV show, but I heard it's so different. It's basically not it. I feel like I would have enjoyed Guardian as a C drama or a donghua compared to actually reading it. But then the other thing that I did not like is I did not have a care for any of the characters. I thought it was going to be one character who wasn't even the main character, might I add, but I found myself not caring about anyone deeply. You know, like in every Donmei that I read, I feel like there's someone that I'm just like, ooh, I love this character, save this character, protect this character, I need this character. Didn't get that at all from anybody in there. So there was that lack of, like, it was to me even worse than when I read Stars of Chaos because I did kind of feel something for the characters, even though I wasn't deeply like in love with the characters. I think that's why I also won't reread it, like listen to myself. So that's the main thing for me. That's why I don't. So I always say, hey, go ahead and read it if you like the modern supernatural genre type thing. If you've already read Priest before and you like Priest, then I say go for it, check it out. It might be something that is for you. It just wasn't for me. I think my favorite character was a cat. I'm gonna leave it at that. But it was a cat. Okay. Um, River Bay Road. Are you just saying River Bay Road? Or are you asking me to share my thoughts on that now? You also have a legit library in your household. I'm trying to get there. I have one, two, three, four bookshelves. Five, four and a half, because one of them is a nightstand slash bookshelf. Um, but yeah, when you mentioned River Bay Road, were you asking me about it or what? The covers of Falling are very pretty, but the plot seems too slice of life for me. You're right. Oh, I know what you're saying it for. I did. That is another modern thing that I read, and I wasn't a fan of it. Actually, I was let down by volume two because I had expectations after reading volume one. It really could have went somewhere, but it didn't. Thank you for reminding me of that. And of course, Astrolabe Rebirth, which I feel like was more futuristic than modern, but I didn't like it because sci-fi. Um, Thanks for reminding me because I totally forgot. Uh, if you're into it, you will be really into it. How do you feel about the hardcover deluxe special releases? Do you think they will do it for Arha next or stick to MXTX stuff? I mean, they've already they've already done all of MXTX, so there's nothing right? There's nothing left to do for MXTX. They have volume 4 releasing in March, late March, and then another in May, but they've done TGCF, Scum Villain, which is coming out in February. I cannot wait to unbox that with y'all. And MXTX. I mean, and Modal Zushur. So they can't stick to. I think they can't stick to that because there are other series that people love and they definitely want more money. So they will go to another author. Plus, I did take their survey for January and it asked specifically, what series do you love that you would want to see in hardcover? So they plan on continuing to do this. Um, as far as crap, where did it go? But you did also ask just how do I feel about the releases of them. I wish they would have just released them at the same time that they released paperbacks, but I understand, especially from the beginning, they were trying to get like a feel for probably for how well Don May would sell. But now that they know how well it sells, I wish they would just make paperbacks at the same time as hardcovers because my preference will always be hardcovers. I will spend the extra money. But now we have people that are put in a situation where they buy the paperbacks because they really want to read the story. And then we don't know which thing, because they're not going to do hardcovers for everything, right? That they've published. We don't know what they're going to pick a hardcover for. And then they pick something. And now we're like, oh, I want that. And so no one's forcing our hand, but now we feel like, ah, dang, I wish I would have bought this so that I could buy this, the hardcover. So that's how I feel about it. I'm here for hardcovers. If anything, well, I won't say if anything because it would be more expensive. I just wish they do it at the same time. That's it. You're currently finishing volume one of Drowning Sorrows, not 100% certain how much you like Priest's writing style. I did hear from someone else that they didn't really care for it, that book in particular. Um, they said they didn't care about the characters. So then I was like, it's just like a common thing. um, but yeah, it definitely, if you don't like the writing style, then I would say, put it down. Priest on May are published. It's the censored version, which cut the romance a lot. I mean, I heard that Priest themselves like edited what they wanted beforehand. So I'm not even sure if it was censored. More so, we're just getting like different versions. Um, Little Mushroom is getting a deluxe hardcover edition. Really? Quite interesting. They haven't even published the are they doing it at the same time? I didn't see this. Hold on. Little mushroom. Oh, right. It's not on here. Okay, let me click this. Little apparently I typed it in already at some point. Little mushroom. Yep, I see it. Quite interesting. So I'm guessing then. So they're releasing the hardcover edition on August 4th. Oh, there is no paperback. It's just the hardcover. Well, that's nice. That's very nice. Although I'm sure some people are going to be sad about it because paperback is cheaper. But that's very nice. So they're just doing hardcover, period. Okay. Um, I would love for them to do You. I would also love for them to do Thousand Autumns. My wallet also cannot handle it. Yeah. Mm. My issue with specials is that a lot of these specials are on the first volume. Like when they did TGCF, they had the special on the final volume. I knew by volume 8, I loved the story at the time. So, well, I didn't get the special edition, but yeah, so special edition. I read Thousand Autumns. By the time I got to volume 5, I knew that I was in love with Ah Chao and Yan Wushi. So I bought the special edition. At the time, I really liked Modal Zusher, so I bought the special edition once I got to volume 5. I bought the special edition of Yu, volume 7. Kind of regret, but putting special editions on volume 1 is just kind of like, I don't know if I love the story. I don't want to buy the first edition, I mean, the special edition of in its volume 1. And then it kind of sucks because it's like if I do get the regular edition, love the story, and then think about getting, I'm like, dang, well, I already bought volume 1. I gotta buy it again. But no, in all seriousness, for the most part, I probably won't buy any special editions as long as they say they have posters, which I talked about already before, because I don't like the creases in the photos. So I'm not gonna. Anytime it says it has that, I'm not gonna buy it. But if it doesn't have a poster and it has other things, then I'll buy it. If it's the final volume. Um, what's on Don Me News? You were sad about Peerless having no special edition. Me too. But Peerless is so unloved. Like I know that Thousand Autumns doesn't get enough love, but if like out of those two, Peerless is really unloved. You hope to get a special edition of QJJ. They better. Seven Seas, if y'all ever come across this video, you better give me my special edition. Shoot. If I gotta buy several copies in order for y'all to do it, I'll do it. You said UDK why they do special editions for the first book. Yeah, that goes back to some mentality that someone put yesterday, is that they're releasing books in a way for already fans, not for new fans, not for new readers, which I don't think should be the case. But you'll never forget. Mm, mm. I didn't get a special edition for that. But it doesn't even matter because I'm getting SBSSS hard copy. Standees over stickers and posters. You know, I actually don't know how I feel about that. Well, over the posters, yes, but over stickers, I'm not sure. Because I know a lot of people like to journal their reading experience, and so they could use those stickers. I have definitely put the stickers on sides of my bookcases, bookshelves. But, yeah. I'm just kind of like, I know a lot of people decorate, but I don't need posters for all of that. So, as a reminder, we are reading chapters 11 through 14 of this and going to discuss it live Monday, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I will say, Chinese New Year. That is what I need to talk to you all about. So, Chinese New Year starts on February the 17th, which is a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. So, we are going to have, I have to finish chewing, a celebration together. And in this celebration, what we are going to do is discuss what this year 2026 is, what the year, it's the year of blah blah blah. We are going to talk about the origin of a specific monster, or Nian, which is the way to say year. We're going to talk about the Nian monster because I think that would be cool for you guys to know. Then I'll also teach you guys how to say it's like some Happy New Year wishes. Then we're going to go over all of the Chinese zodiacs, and in that we're going to talk about like what some of the birth years are. I think I go back as far as like the 1930s and then forward. Yes, I know what year it is. I was trying not to say it until then. It's the year of the fire horse. Or you could just say the year of the horse. But we're going to go over each animal, the birth years, and the personalities of them. And then after that, we're going to go over some common Chinese idioms and expressions found in Danmei. And can y'all tell I'm hungry? At the same time, it's not a s'more. It's not a spoiler. No, it's not a spoiler. This is taking a lot of chewing. On top of that, there will be like a special, I'll tell you more about it, a special sale going on my Patreon for anyone who may want to join. Feed Mari. And just depending on my finances, potentially a giveaway. Just haven't figured that out yet. But I just wanted to be special for us to celebrate the Chinese New Year together. So we've got a full schedule on that day. And yeah, like I said, on my Patreon, it will be also the launching. It comes the next day, but the launching of my Mari's Musings. So it's going to be really, really fun. I think those are all the announcements that I really have for now. So we're good on that front. Let me just make sure. Yes, those are all the announcements. Okay, so it is the year of Snowcrest. Snowcrest, with the white part of his belly, it's going to be fiery. So you see this white patch on Snowcrest? Instead, it's going to be fire. It's his year. His time to shine. You won't be able to join. You have tickets for the theater. Ooh, fun. Do what you do. Too much friction. Poor Snowcrest. I mean, he didn't run away. That Snowcrest is down for the count. I'm not down for the count, but he's down for it because he didn't run away. He wasn't scared. He was like, I got this. Might be a little awkward for me, owner, but I got this. He did it. So, yes, Happy New Year to everyone. Those two make it fiery. Okay. Any more questions? Concerns? Issues that are just raging a fire in your heart? Just give me all a chance to say yay or nay. He is a trooper. He said, I've been in the trenches. This ain't nothing. Go away. Thank you so much. Hydrate. I'll see you all next time. Everyone's telling me to go and nourish my body. So that's what I'm going to go do. I love you all. This has been very fun. I'm so glad we finally got to talk about these chapters because I was dying to talk about them so that we can move forward. Get my achao cup and hydrate. I need an achao. Or you. I got you. Yes. Yes. It's a. Hold on. Oh my god. Whole thing. Okay. Bye, you guys. Well, I Neiman. Yes.